All right, it is Tuesday night in Tooney Town, and that can only mean one thing. It is time for the fastest rising pro wrestling live stream podcast on the internet today. It is time for Tooney Talk Wrestling. Folks, I am Marvin, and I am the Movie Monster, and welcome back for more wild, zany wrestling comedy here tonight. We're going to be talking about the Vince McMahon documentary. Was it the two-shovel burial that we were promised, or was it just another standard middle-of-the-road WWE documentary with an interesting sixth episode? I might be putting the cart before the horse there, but, we'll figure it out. Thank you to everybody joining us today. I see the chat filling in. Glad to see a lot of familiar faces here. Glad to see some new faces here. Very, very excited to get this started. But, guys, I can't start this by myself. I need my panel here with me, and that can only mean one thing. First, I've got to bring out my regular co-host, so epic that he has his own intro video. Kevin Apollo, my friend, how are you?
What's up, mate? It's me standing over the ruins of my expectations for this Vince McMahon documentary.
Right? Oh, man. Fresh off your debut over on That Game Place this last week, you and I joined Culture Casino for a huge video on Dragon Age, The Veil God. And that video, last time I checked, had over 18,000 views, which is more than any Tooney Town Wrestling videos ever gotten. But... yeah, no, very, very, very excited that we are taking this thing on the road. But yes, I am excited to talk about the Vince documentary today. We also got to talk about racism in wrestling. That apparently has been a hot topic for whatever reason.
Do we have to give credence to these weirdos screaming about not having a black man in the main event of a pay-per-view for 700 days, like AEW wasn't a blizzard for the last 5.5 years. Swerve being champion for 5 months is not wrestling reparations. Stop it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't want to talk about it, but you know who made me? Awful Wrestling made me do it. He was like, man, for the people, we have to do it.
I swear that's not true.
It's really not true. I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to bring you out, so it just kind of went with whatever I thought of first. Look at that avatar picture. Like, you're all like pensive and like looking off to the side and like deep in thought. I like it a lot. Like, you really.
This was my LinkedIn profile.
Oh, fantastic. All right. Awful. What do you got going on this week? Anything fun happening? You're eagerly awaiting the imminent announcement of Tony Khan's
yeah, man. Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Oh boy. Yeah. So speaking of somebody else who can't wait to get on the show, it is our good friend and regular member of this panel, AEW Disciplinary Committee, aka Dis from the world of Maxed Out Media. What is going on, Dis?
Hi. Hey, I just got a text. I got breaking news, actually.
Oh,
really? Like, for real. This is real.
Oh, okay.
St. Louis next week is going to be the second live CW NXT in St. Louis, right?
Yes.
This week in St. Louis, NXT is preempted for local news.
Okay.
So right now, when we're supposed to be watching, anyone in the St. Louis market that tunes into NXT right now will find news and not NXT.
What are they putting in there?
News.
What news?
Local. It's just the local 7:00 news that they do every night.
Oh,
They're
man.
running that. So the big push for all this national stuff apparently didn't make it to the St. Louis market because they are not getting NXT tonight. And it makes me wonder how many other markets are going to have preempted NXTs because of normal programming.
So now I'm wondering is that because of the debate? Is that because of all the craziness going on the other side of the world today? Like,
I asked specifically if they said anything, and he said, I am just sitting here and they're doing the news. They have not said that it is a special broadcast. They have not said that it is a different time. They are just doing because apparently in St. Louis, 7:00, Central Time is when they do the news on CW, and they're keeping it up. They're doing it. So
get your crap together, CW. Clearly,
that's
what kind of rinky-dink
anyway,
operation are you running over there?
So
that's
like
okay.
I said,
That's okay. The more preemption NXT gets, the more people have time to listen to Tooney Talk Wrestling.
true.
But guys, not to cut you all off, but 100% to cut you off, because we have some super chats to get into. I have to jump ahead, guys. I'm sure you all understand. I appreciate all super chats, but I really need to get this one up first and foremost. My goodness, Kevin Tram for $300. Man, oh man, you are my new favorite person, and that dog is awesome. I need to know its name. And yeah, as much as I hate Kevin Apollo's cat, I love dogs. But yeah, he says, hi there, I'm a longtime fan and he has a big fat super chat. I like my super chats though. Actually, no, I can't even make that joke because I don't like fat women. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I joke. I enjoy all women. Well,
Except
that's
for
not
the fat
also,
ones.
I'm really just kind of talking myself in circles here, aren't I?
Yep.
It's a big fat super chat.
They belong in the kitchen.
I always enjoy
Go
the
out,
Dave.
Patty.
What is this? The city dump?
Yeah.
I have always enjoyed the Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan being hypocritical asshole segments. And also, I love your headlock headlines. Congrats on your 5K. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I can't
Awesome.
even tell you how much that that kind of support means to the channel. It really, really helps keep the lights on around here. All of your support from everybody here really just kind of helps move us along into the stratosphere. And yeah, anyone who contributes on this channel, on Tooney Town TV, I appreciate all of you guys. You are incredible. Man, I'm looking for a clip right now that I can play for you. You know what? Here's an oldie but a goodie that I might have to cut out of the replay. One and forever.
Memories.
That was
Who
good.
the
That
hell
was
is
different.
Evil Dose?
Stop it. Stop it. I knew you were going to say
Well, who
something.
is
I
he?
didn't even. Stop it. That's enough. My
That was
goodness.
fun.
But yeah,
That's
thank you
enough.
so much, Kevin. I really, really appreciate it. You are now my favorite Kevin on this panel right now.
Accept
I'm
that.
sorry, Apollo. You haven't given
whatever,
me $300.
bro.
But,
$300
yeah,
bucks.
It's all right.
Cool.
Yeah, it's all right. You're probably Apollo's favorite Kevin on the panel now too. Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on. John JID 999 for $199. How about the Costco guys bringing the boom to AEW? Now, I haven't really heard much about this, guys. What exactly is this Costco guys thing? I've seen it around Twitter X. I have not. I thought it was a joke when I saw it. Did Tony Khan actually sign somebody from Costco?
Okay. So a couple years ago, there was a meme where people go on TikTok and they'd be like, I'm a blah, blah, blah guy. So of course I do this. And a dad and his son started doing it for Costco. And they're like Italian jersey stereotypes. And John Draper.
I hate that.
John Draper hates them with a passion. He's posted about them all the time. He like the kid gets his eyebrows done and stuff like that. And he's like 12. So they go in and they go, they have all their catchphrases and do that kind of stuff. And it was just a meme. And it turned out that the dad was a professional indie wrestler in the Northeast. So of course, Justin Wang did a video where he pointed out that he was a wrestler. And I guess somebody in AEW saw it because the next AEW show, they invited him there. He was on the pre-show. He was on 0 Hour for the pay-per-view. And then he wrestled in ROH with Colt Cabana. He was Colt Cabana's tag team partner. And now he's saying that he has a contract for at least one match in AEW. He is
they give you a contract for one match?
That's just what he said.
What? Okay, now what's worse? What's worse, this or when he brought in Luigi Primo, the pizza guy?
Yes.
This
Luigi Primo guy.
Yeah, I would say that the Luigi Primo guy was worse. But then again, he didn't actually wrestle. He just appeared in a vignette, and Jericho sucked his heat up, and he shriveled into nothing.
The thing about this is that Costco guys, it's been like what 8 months to a year since Costco guys has been a big meme since Matt, when Max was showing it to me, that's when I figure things are big. So it's been that long. And now it's like it took him that long to do it. And I assume it's just because somebody made a video about it on the internet and AEW has to jump on it immediately, but it's ridiculous. The guy is so silly.
He does something for Barstool now too, I think. So that's That's why this is happening. It's like, oh my god, this is a like we are scraping below the bottom of the barrel level of grift right now.
Producer AEW Neckbeards in the chat saying, screw that, Mr. and Mrs. Neckbeard on the first couple of Costco. I believe it. Walking around, having the Costco lunch buffet, getting all them free samples, enough to constitute a meal. I say it because I've done it, so I can say it. Kevin knows. We used to go to the mall and like I'd have no money. And so I would be like, hold on a second. And I would just walk around the food court and collect free samples from all the things. And I'd be like, yeah, I got enough for a meal here.
Oh my God. You scoundrel.
I was at Disney one time at the Magic Kingdom years ago. And it was right around Casey's Corner. And I was like, I don't want to spend like $20 on a hot dog. So I went in there and I went to the Fixins bar. And I just kind of like took like a thing of coleslaw and like relish and like condiments and just ate that. And I was like, I'm satisfied by this.
When I took Max when he was little, he was getting thirsty and he was tired of drinking water all the time. So not when he was little, when he was like 7. So the second time we went, he wanted something besides water. And I just made him save, like we drank water all day because I was like, we're going to get you soda. We're going to get you soda. I'm sure, Marv, you know where I went and got him soda.
You went to one of the places with a soda fountain?
I went that one store that you go in and you test all the sodas from around the world and you can sit there for an hour.
Oh, you were in Epcot. Okay, yeah, you went to Club Cool. I thought for some reason I thought you were in the Magic Kingdom.
Oh no, yeah. So I told him we couldn't drink soda because we had a special soda plan and we stayed in Club Cool for an hour and drank.
God damn.
I have done that too. It's a shame that some of them are just absolutely atrocious in there, though.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them are just disgusting. The Beverly from Italy. Ernesto Cruz says, me too, Moth. But then he goes, okay, I didn't do condiments. See, you didn't go all the way. That's the problem.
Not miserly enough.
No, not enough. Or you go to like Cosmic Rays or Pecos Bills or at least you used to, because they don't have it out anymore. Probably specifically because of me. Where they used to have they'd have the lettuce and the tomato and the onion that you like put on your burger, and I would just go make a little salad.
God bless it.
Oh my goodness. All right, moving along. Costco guys in AEW. That's great. Is the guy good in the ring? Like, is he okay?
We're gonna find out, won't we? I mean, he's gonna bring in so many people to watch this match. So many people are excited to see it, and I can't wait to see it either.
I haven't seen much of him. He made the PWI 500.
Oh, did he?
He's like 260 or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty high up.
I know what I've seen of him. You're
still getting WWE guys sprinkled in there.
Yeah. What I've seen him is very generic, like super. He's a very peppy baby face. He's kind of, I'd say he's probably runs around 250 or so. He's not really built, but does
he stomp the mat and clap his hands for the crowd to get up off their feet?
He is that guy. Yeah.
Come on, baby.
Yeah. Let's go.
Or if he's a heel, it just goes, hey, shut up.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah. He leans over the ropes and points to us.
Shut up, little kid.
Yeah.
It's like, no kid is no kid. You'd be rocking Rebel. Show up, kid. I could be your father. It be Herka for $20. Can't make it to the start of the show tonight, but wanted to sincerely thank Dis and everyone who has donated / spread the word about my family in Florida. This community is the best, and I'm proud to be a part of it. Dis, you want to take the lead on this one?
Sure. Yeah, he's a big fan of the show, and he had a family member, I believe his brother and sister-in-law, who had a lot of damage done in their house with a hurricane. We went and all we did is share it. We shared the GoFundMe. I know we got some donations from the community, so I really want to thank our listeners. And if you that we shared it on the Discord, it's tooney.dis.lol. We'll take you to the invite for that Discord. And you can find more stuff like that. We try to help, we try to give back a little bit. I think the community,
it's a community. We have a Tooney
we have
Town
an amazing
community.
Yeah. And we have an amazing community. We really do. And when you get interacting with each other and all that kind of stuff, there very little negativity, very little fights. It's becoming something. And so we like to, give a little help when we can.
I love it.
Drop that link one more time, Dis.
Okay, if you go to tooney.dis.lol, that will redirect you to the invite for the Discord, and all the information is in there. I also have the GoFundMe posted on my Twitter if you want to check it out there too.
So yeah, I absolutely, and we are more than happy to help out our members of our community, and thoughts go out to everyone who is affected by the hurricane. Thankfully, I didn't get hit terribly by it when it blew through my area, but I know a lot of people, a lot of pretty terrible stuff. John JID 999 for $199. Love that they brought back the ring breaking spot. I'm always one of my favorite things. They don't overuse it. Comes back like every decade, and when they do it, man, it works. It never fails to get a reaction when the ring just implodes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Every 10 years, you get those kids who haven't seen it before. Max flipped out when this ring blew up last night.
I can't even imagine. Walk me through. What was his reaction when the ring blew up?
So he was when he gets into the matches, sometimes he'll start wrestling with Wrestling Buddy or something like that, and so he's kind of going over there, and he looks up all of a sudden because there, you could kind of hear something happening. The crowd was going nuts, and he looks up, and as soon as he looks up, the ring just collapsed, and he goes, "Oh my God!" Like Joey Styles. He was awesome, and he's like, how'd they do that? They could do that? I'm like, Max, you've seen YouTube videos. He goes, yeah, but I always thought that was an accident. And I'm like,
no, Brock and Big Show was the first time they did it, right?
I think so. Yeah.
God,
this one was really good.
Beat that moment. I mean, that was the best one.
Oh, I think the best one was Brock with the when he destroyed the ring with the backhoe. When he
I love that when he lifted the ring and Roman went falling out of it.
Yeah.
My favorite meme of that was like, it's the Impractical Jokers like on the microphone, and they're like, Brock, flip the ring, and it shows the ring being flipped, and then like Sal falling down. Man, I gotta say, I love the Impractical Jokers. I really like their show, but lately it's hard to watch because Sal will always be wearing like an MJF and Danhausen shirt or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that dumb stuff, and I was just like,
they're all in on AEW. Those guys apparently.
Well,
I guess
WBD.
TBS and
WBD, that's actually really funny because I was in the hospital last week, and what do you do when you're in the hospital?
You watch Impractical Jokers.
And I started catching up on the newer season, and it's very mean spirited now too.
Yes, I have noticed that as well. It has gone from being playful joshing to being extremely mean.
Yeah, and like
talking about the one where he was injured.
Yeah.
Oh, when Murr was strapped to the car and they made Sal think he was dead.
Yeah,
that's my kind of humor right there.
I like prank shows. I like prank shows that make the host of the show the joke. And Practical Joker was always good about that, but now they're starting to lean more into making the mark the joke, and that always kind of bothers me. So anyway,
Uncultured Barbarian for $5. Thank you very much. Says Corny may crap on the bill to the last Monster Standing match, but the match was effing awesome. I actually didn't get to see the whole match. Was it good?
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, it's a Haas fight. It's I love that's one of my favorite things in the world. So
I loved Braun doing the dive off of the off of the top rope. He looks so uncomfortable, but it really does point out that like when these big guys don't do it often, it's fantastic when they do,
The only joke that I have about Braun, not Braun, who am I
Bronson?
No,
Braun.
Oh no, I am thinking about Braun. The only joke I really have about Braun was I remember he was on somebody's podcast. I don't remember if it was Jericho or if it was Edge and Christian, and he was like, "I got this app on my phone. It's called Places I Poop, and every time it geolocates where I'm at, and I hit this little button that says bombs away, and it marks it on a map." Because they travel so much, so every single time he's in the ring, I'm just like, "Places I pooped."
What's up with his legs, by the way?
Why?
It looked like he was having a tough time moving around. I mean, goddamn, he's got the legs of Stephen Hawking. It was terrible. A big man. He can work. He can do leg day, right, Kev? I mean, good Lord.
Look, awful. The juice making you very big, not the very strong.
Not to make it very strong.
Awful neck AEW neckbeards said for $2 Canadian says Awful and Apollo Tooney Town Wrestling's new Jack and Mustafa. Why? What did they do? That's like Jack and Mustafa, beard.
Right, exactly. Exactly. He couldn't wait.
He couldn't wait till the actual segment to do it. He had to get it out of the way now.
And he had to pay $2 Canadian.
He had to lay down a toonie to do it.
Yeah, he had to pay 45 cents so he could.
Yeah, right.
John Williams for $4.99. You seem to be taking your time playing AEW Fight Forever. Any game that doesn't have me is a bad game. All right, so here's what's going on with that. I'm trying to find a night that works where I think everybody will be able. I'm thinking it might have to be during the day. I was thinking about doing it Friday during the day, but I was unsure whether people are around during the day. Because my nights have all been like today. I was on the pro show earlier, and then I've just been working nonstop. We're doing 2 videos a day on Tooney Town TV now, so I'm working on that all day. Plus prep for this show, and then tomorrow I'm not going to be home. Thursday I got prep for Tooney Talk TV. So I am finding it's going to happen, and it's going to happen within either this week or next week. So that is my promise. So it's coming. I promised everybody, and I have to make it happen.
What will happen first? An AEW deal or him playing Fight Forever? Like, what's going on here?
I was thinking Friday during the day, probably maybe around. I was thinking around noon, either around noon or around 3. So either before or after our Tooney Talk, our Tooney Town TV members only live stream. So we'll see.
When real quick for the chat, yes, NXT is live tonight. We all know that. Please do not put spoilers in the chat. There are people here who are skipping the show and watching it after. I'm seeing a lot of it. I mentioned something in the chat, but so if your message mysteriously goes away, it's not because you're a bad boy. It's because you did a bad thing.
Well, girl, there are some girls here.
Yeah, but that sounded creepy if I would have said
there's like at least 2. I know there's at least 2 of them.
Shout out Lisa B.
Yeah, and Erica.
And Erica.
Andre Adams for $9.99. My sources are reporting that Moxley has suffered back-to-back MMA losses to a drunk llama and a dog on crutches.
Oh my God, was that this weekend?
It's at the local community center. Where else would it be?
Why?
Andre Adams again for $4.99. Jack Perry doesn't have any short bus. He has the pick up your grandma and friends for bingo edition. Oh man, I love how that's like spoken from experience. Plenty and Picks a Lot for $10. Work canceled. Consider this my contribution to Neckbeard's Okada waifu pillow. Yeah. Kevin Tram back for another $20. He says the big dog is Panda, the small one is Tigger from Winnie the Pooh.
Nice.
I didn't even realize there was a small dog in there. Look at that.
I know. I just noticed it.
I thought that was one big dog that had like a black spot on his chest.
My Tigger.
You said it, not me. By the way,
you can say it too.
I did an article for that. I could not no, because somebody would get mad. I did an article for that park place today in Shanghai Disneyland. Winnie the Pooh got attacked by like a random Chinese guy. I don't know if maybe they thought it was President Xi, or whether it was an assassin sent by President Xi to take Pooh Bear out. But the Pooh Bear's there's a video. Pooh Bear's walking, and this Chinese guy like reaches out and he smacks him right in the head, in like the big heavy head. And now there's like metal in there and stuff.
No,
so like it might have cut his face. It might have concussed him. It doesn't look like a big shot, but apparently it doesn't take much with those heads. Pooh Bear goes down. He's like on the ground.
Down goes Pooh Bear.
So right in front of all the people. Weirdly, but it was okay. It's not the first time guests at Shanghai Disneyland have seen Pooh on the sidewalk. Apparently that was a big problem. That was a big problem when they first opened that park.
Are you sure that you're not crossing memories? Because wasn't that a match on 0 Hour before the last AEW pay-per-view? Or I remember that happening.
He goes down, and then in the video, Piglet like is staring the guy down and starts advancing on the attacker, and a cast member like holds Piglet back. It's amazing. It's amazing. Go see it. It's on thatparkplace.com, along with the other article I did yesterday. where Kingdom Hearts Mickey Mouse was meeting and greeting in at the Oogie Boogie Bash, and he comes out and he's like, "Hello, folks," and like his pants just fall down around his ankles, just fall down
On purpose? Because you know
no,
Disney.
I don't think they was. I don't think it was streaking. I don't think it was. It was a. But anyway, well, I have to say, apparently Mickey is just identifying as a male from what I saw in that.
No hidden phallic symbols in the background?
No.
Okay, gotcha.
No, none whatsoever. Monkey Balls for $5 says, I wonder how much footage has to be cut because Uncle Dave can't go a minute without inserting AEW into any convo. Release the cut, you cowards. Okay, we're going to talk about that about the Vince documentary because I said to you guys, I'm like, I wonder how many times he tried to bring up AEW in this conversation and they like cut it out. There's one mention of AEW in the whole documentary.
Yep.
And it's only to say Cody made it and left. That's the only thing. Yeah.
John J. I did $9.99 for $1.99. There is an IJ Australia now, and just why? Just why? I don't want to see Impractical Jokers with other people.
No.
Why don't you just play the American version in Australia?
Not even the celebrities they bring on. Like the only one I find acceptable is
that. I hate that.
The only one that's acceptable is Patone. Patone's the only.
Because he's like friends with them. So it's
they should have just let him take Joe's spot. It should have just been Patone on the show.
They had like David Cross in there. I think Joe will be back eventually, but that's going to be like the big hook to get everybody as Joe Gatto comes back. BT23 for $5. Explain the heel Xavier Woods, why it's needed. I heard the reason why IC title change was because Ilya Dragunov got hurt and Braun needs to be pushed for Gunther at some point.
Okay. I have thoughts about this.
Okay.
Xavier is not going to turn heel. They will tease a heel turn. They will make a darker character. There will be something between him and Kofi. And then Big E's going to come in for the 10th anniversary. He's not going to wrestle, but he's going to be like, hey, guys, we need to get together again. It's been 10 years, and now we're going to break up, and then they're going to win the tag team titles. That's how it's going to happen because WWE is not going to pass up an opportunity to sell New Day 10 merch for a year and make bank off of it. They're not going to break them up at the anniversary. They might break them up after the anniversary, but it's not going to happen right away. And they also just turned Miz last night because of Karrion Kross. So that would be the 6th heel turn in 2 months. Like it's, I think people are going a little too far with the Xavier Woods turn. Yeah. Also, Elijah was hurt after the title switch. So he got
Ilja. Okay, gotcha.
Ilja, sorry. Ilja got hurt on Saturday. The title switch was last Monday, so they had nothing to do with it.
Kevin Haggerty says Ethan Page is the best example of a rehab project coming from AEW. He was jobbing to Orange Cassidy. Now he is the face of NXT. That's true. That is true.
And he does well.
He does.
He was great in TNA. So it's baffling as to you brought the guy over. He was doing great with Dan Lambert, and then we just decided to steal 2.5 years of his life.
And wasn't one of the only reasons that he didn't go to WWE was because it was during the hiring freeze time when they weren't picking anybody up? Yeah, because he was always on WWE's radar. They were interested in him for a long time. So he's great.
He's like a younger version of Bobby Roode in my eyes.
Oh yeah,
that's what I see.
Good comparison.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. John JD 999 for $1.99 says, why does Coach Tony K keep dragging announcements out? That is a good question because he's got nothing else, man.
Tomorrow.
What?
Tomorrow. He's making an announcement tomorrow. He said it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
We may be making an announcement.
Somebody
The Rabbit Wolverine LC Killer 17 for $5 says, do you think there's gonna be a lot of white glue next to Tony watching the Will and Ricochet match? I think we might have a lot of white powder around him, but probably some white glue, unless that white powder negates his ability to produce said glue. It could be a real problem, I assume. All right, guys, that's it for the super chats for now. Keep them coming in, guys. We will get to them as we go through the show. But for now, we got to get to this Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix. Now, this is the documentary called Mr. McMahon. It is a 6-part documentary on Netflix, put over by, I believe it was Conrad Thompson, who said it was a quote 2-shovel burial of Vince McMahon. This was promised to be a major tell-all, which was going to really go into the Janelle Grant stuff. It was going to, blow the roof off all of this and present all this new information. It was going to be 6 parts all about this. It was none of those things, guys.
None of it.
So much that Vince, I think we read it last week, that Vince was like putting out statements about, oh no, don't believe everything you read in this. It's, the old man Vince grumble.
What kind of Vince impression is that?
That's what old man Vince sounds like. He doesn't sound like Attitude Era Vince anymore. Ruthless aggression era Vince. He looked
JFK Vince McMahon. Robert F. Kennedy.
he looked so like, I know he's old, but like
you just say
old.
Vince McMahon looked like JFK.
Like he was walking with a hunch, and his lips. Why were his lips purple? Did you notice that his lips were purple?
Yeah, what a weirdo, right?
Neckbeard says Vince duped us. He thinks that Neckbeard is under the impression that Vince was like undercover for Netflix trying to get people to watch this. I don't think Vince cared if anyone watched this. I think they went out of their way in a couple of instances to make him look really bad. It's so much so that in the last episode, Bruce Pritchard comes back just to tell them that this sucks and you guys suck. And
right,
I'm shocked they've aired it. So here's the thing. One episode of this discusses the Janelle Grant case and provides really no new information except for, I think, like one thing. Before that, it was all just things we've heard a million years. But now I watched this with Mrs. Movie Monster, and this was made for her because it was made for people that don't know wrestling. It was made for people to learn about wrestling for the first time, because it was a history of the WWE. Right. We open up with Vince. Yeah. We get the usual. I grew up in a trailer park and my stepfather was abusive, and we the usual Vinceisms that we normally get. And then I didn't realize he never met his father until he was 12 and didn't know his name was McMahon. Mm-hmm. What did he think his last name was before?
Boy.
Bastard.
Yeah. Bastard. Come here, bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah, grows up in the South in a trailer park, meets his dad at 12, and the most Vince story ever. He runs to his father with his arms outstretched, expecting this big moment and this glorious hug. And Vince Sr. just goes, "Hello there, boy," and just like pats him on the head. So
if only he had gotten more love.
His name was Jon Snow until he was 12. The prince that was promised. Could you wouldn't that be funny if it was like Vince Snow?
Well, wouldn't it be trailer park? Because it was region.
Yeah. Vince, wait, what's the trailer park thing? Vince wife beater. Oh no, that would come back.
Let me ask you guys: was there anything new? Anything, and I mean anything new that you guys learned about Vince McMahon?
Yeah, actually. So there were actually things that I had never heard of before because they're things that WWE like never covers in their their documentaries. Like I had never heard about the Ring Boy scandal before.
Oh, really?
What? That was new information for me. I had never heard about that. Yeah. I didn't know about the female referee that he apparently copulated with.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that McGirt?
No, Rita Carrington.
Rita Chatterton.
Yeah, Chatterton.
Yeah. She just got a couple $1 million from him like last year over this.
There's in terms of like stuff we didn't know, I'd say there was for me, and because I knew all of the facts stuff going in, like everything stuff I heard before. It was the smaller stories that confirm things that we've thought about Vince for a long time. like I kind of got confirmed a little bit that Vince did want his kids to buy the company from him. Just like he bought it from his dad, you know,
or to kill him,
to kill him.
Did you get the sense that Vince was disappointed that neither Shane nor Stephanie tried to murder him?
Maybe, but but I think, you know, Vince was obviously being dramatic, but I've always suspected that it was never like Vince was saying, well, Stephanie's going to be the one to get it, or Shane. Vince was willing to give it to whoever came up with money to buy it. And
yeah, nobody's getting it. You have to take it. Like,
right.
I can't believe we never thought of that from the beginning. And I think that's why Triple H got it. That's why Triple H is in charge now, because Triple H is the one that put together Order 66.
And then Vince returned somehow.
Somehow Vince returned.
No one's gonna get it.
It squeezed Triple H's heart until he needed a robot one. I think Vince and Tripp have this like weird mutual respect because they keep trying to kill each other, and the other keeps coming back.
I think Vince likes somebody with a set of balls, and I think Triple H was one of the very first ones to come up to him with a set of balls and tell him certain things about the business and what he can help to do with the business. Vince probably admired that, whereas everybody was walking on eggshells around this guy for a good 40 years, 30 years. And he got the keys to the castle because of it.
There's one person that comes off extremely well in this documentary, that comes out of this documentary looking like $1 million, and that is Shane McMahon.
Yeah. Yes.
The most human.
He comes off as normal, from what I've heard is actually not really true to life. I've heard Shane is basically Tony Khan. But they actually go into Shane wanting to buy UFC.
Oh, did they? They touched on that?
They do touch on it. Where basically UFC was for sale, and he wanted Vince to buy it, and he wanted to run it to show Vince that he could, and Vince was like, "Get out of here."
He told him he could buy it himself, to be fair.
Yeah, he's like, "You have to have your own money, boy."
Right. Wasn't the price tag $4 million at the time, or am I thinking of something else?
Some super low thing, man.
It was a real low number.
It was low. It was low enough where they could have done it. Right. But okay, so people that were in this maybe too much, Dave Meltzer.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Dave Meltzer was in this a lot to kind of be the counter voice to all the WWE guys, because like they talk about WrestleMania 3, and of course, if enough people talk about WrestleMania 3, Dave Meltzer will materialize to tell you that the actual number was 78,000 people,
right,
at the Pontiac Silverdome. Which, by the way, if it is 78,000 people, that means all in at Wembley being 71 or 72,000 people is not the biggest show of all time. It's still WrestleMania 3.
Can we? I want to take a minute. Because when these psychopaths say this online, I have to stop and go, why are we pretending that Collision in Korea, WrestleMania 3,
right,
and WrestleMania 30 or 39 that didn't happen?
I know.
There are I can think of at least 4 shows that shattered All In's actual number, not the one that they tell us.
Well, Collision in Korea, they try to explain away by being like people were forced in there at gunpoint. I'm like, I don't care. They were still there.
Yeah, they went past the turnstile.
Tony gave away 20,000 tickets. So who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
I was at I believe 32 is the actual record, right? In Dallas. I was there for that show, and I'll tell you, every seat was full, and they were selling. You could buy standing tickets to stand out by the concession area. You could buy tickets, stand outside, and watch it on a screen. They were selling everything they possibly could. So the idea that they could go over capacity on that or get to capacity is completely valid.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know why everybody tries to disprove the WrestleMania 3 attendance. I assume that enough people have said it where I'm tempted to believe that maybe it wasn't 93,000 people, but I mean, if it was 78,000, it's still the record holder. No matter what. I love the hypocrisy of how, like, he'll poo-poo the WrestleMania 3 number, but he'll tout this Tony Khan fake 81,000 number that was disproven by like actual, like,
Right.
or
just lie by
governmental sources. It's insane.
They did brush on the fact that Dave Meltzer used to be Vince's cover during a lot of these scandals. He was covering for Vince back then the way he covers for Tony Khan now,
because Vince gave him access back
exactly. And the documentary did kind of briefly brush on that, because someone says, like, well, Dave got sent there to make sure Vince didn't do anything stupid. And then Dave made a comment about, like, oh man, I can't believe I had to live through that or whatever. But it's interesting to see that nothing's changing. Like, the names change, but it's all the same stuff repeated over and over again with this guy.
All right, so Dave Meltzer in it too much. And then in the 6th episode, it's clear that none of the WWE people would come back to talk to them after the Vince stuff goes down. So Dave Meltzer episode 6 is like mostly Dave Meltzer. Oh, he was like the only one, him and that Shoemaker guy. The guy that was the he's like the wrestling expert that the 30 for 30 guy uses on his stuff. The one that lied through his teeth during the Andre documentary, saying that Andre was a touring heel in the territories. So as we go through the early part of the documentary, did you guys notice that Vince's take on the Dave Schultz, John Stossel situation was a lot different than Dave Schultz and pretty much everybody else, where everybody's like, Vince walked up to him and said, Dave, go out there and be Dr. D to this guy. And Vince was like, oh, I just went back there and said, this guy's out there. And then Dave Schultz took it upon himself. So we
all got our
Schultz
popcorn.
Yeah, I believe Schultz on this one. They knew Schultz was going out there because like a bunch of the heels came out into the hallway specifically to watch what was going to happen. Yeah. So a lot of these guys didn't know what they were doing. Tony Atlas was in this a lot. Like way more than he should have been.
Yeah.
Right.
I get the meme of it. Like, I understand why people online are happy that Tony Atlas was there, but in terms of making an impression on a new wrestling fan or trying to tell the story of WWE, I don't think Tony Atlas is the one to go to for that.
And then he goes in on Pat Patterson.
Yeah.
I honestly grab my pecker in the locker room. And they're like, why didn't you talk? And he's like, did you tell anyone? Tell who? You don't know how the wrestling business works, son.
I honestly believe that Bruce coming back in the last episode was more about Pat Patterson than it was about Vince McMahon.
Probably.
Because that's I've heard him speak passionately on people accusing Patterson of things, and that'd be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, there must have been nothing that could have stuck to Pat on the Ring Boy scandal, because Pat was back like a couple weeks later. They go into the Snuka stuff. They don't tell the story that I've always heard, which is Vince walked into the courthouse with a briefcase full of money and left without it, and
the police station,
free. Yeah.
I believe that story though. I really
I
don't know. Like
you walk to some podunk town during an era where there were no cameras,
right?
And you have a savage running loose that you found in the jungles of Samoa who can't wear shoes. You think he's going to really control himself out there?
Vince with that briefcase probably raised the GDP of that town for that entire year.
I also love that this all went south for Jimmy because he re-incriminated himself on Opie and Anthony.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. They brought him in to talk about something.
If I did.
And he just started rambling on. And then they're like, what are you saying? I'll try to find it. But yeah, this all we started talking about this again because of what he did on the air.
Oh boy!
I must have missed
yeah,
that
we go
episode.
through WrestleMania 1, then we talk about WrestleMania 2, and I love the whole like we actually get Hogan admitting on camera for the first time I've ever seen that he stooged out Jesse Ventura about the Wrestlers Union. Did you catch that?
Yep.
Right.
With
Oh, yeah.
pride. With
I
pride.
went to Vince, brother. And then
You know-
the supercut of everyone being like, Hulk Hogan ratted him out. He stooged him to the office.
What's crazy, I gotta say, Hogan was more honest during this documentary than I've seen him in a decade. Like I don't think we definitely didn't get the truth, but I think we got what he believes the truth is for every single one of those stories.
Yeah, he's not talking about himself, so he can be honest.
Yeah.
Or because apparently Hulk Hogan and Terry are two different people
With two different sized dongs.
Yeah. So Hulk is just telling you everything Terry saw.
Yeah. Well, because
I was surprised they went into that. Oh, go ahead, Dis.
I was gonna say because he admitted to lying on Arsenio Hall. He admitted to stooging out Jesse, pridefully admitted to that. The only thing I really caught him that was a blatant lie was the Andre thing, but I think that's more people misrepresent. Like, I'm not talking
Which
about his
Andre
weight
thing?
and stuff. The Andre thing where he says, "I don't know if I was going to be able to beat him until he let me pin him,"
God.
kind of thing. And here's
I didn't know I was winning until he didn't kick out, brother. Like, come
Right.
on.
I think that in Hogan's mind, what he means by that is that if Andre didn't want him to win, he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's what he means, but he's also a storyteller and he's got to, make the big thing. But he was surprised, like I said, surprisingly honest about the steroid stuff, especially. What's that?
I just saw what Neckbeard put.
Oh,
Look,
but yeah, because I've never heard him admit that he lied on Arsenio Hall. So that was
I've never heard him admit that he lied about anything ever. So, oh, by the way, congratulations, Miss October says I passed my dental quiz and now I can watch my. Congratulations. That is
Awesome.
great. That is huge. Apparently studying to be a dental assistant. As I sit here with a massive toothache.
Britt Baker, watch out.
Yeah. So, yeah, we go through that. We got all the WrestleMania stuff. Then we get into the new generation stuff. Hogan leaving.
Dude.
Oh, man. And then, we go through when they went through the NWO again, I was like, because that is the story. That is the story that gets told more than any other story in wrestling.
Next to the screw job.
Yes, and they went through that also. Mrs.
too.
Movie Monster's sitting there next to me, and she's just like, "Oh man, she's like, do I really have to sit through this story again?" Because every documentary that we watch has that story in it. It could be a documentary about the Undertaker, and they will still somehow tell the formation of the NWO story in there somewhere.
And in the special features, you'll find the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 14, which is on everything.
Yeah.
By the way, Bret Hart was in
Is
rare
the
form
man
in this documentary.
Yeah, he's the man.
I mean, by the man, who else thinks Bret Hart is the man? Bret Hart.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, I was an artist. I was an artist in there. I was an artist. I was just like, oh my God. But then when he insinuates that the WWE murdered his brother to get back at him,
mm-hmm.
I was like, did you just make your brother's death about you?
He did. Wait, there's a first part to that story that no one ever talks about. And it was in Russo's first book.
I'll never let him go story?
Yeah, that creepy ass conversation. And I'm like, what? Why does no one ever talk about this? And it is interesting. I mean, listen, if you ever
give us context, fellas.
Back, like, we're talking, like, I think this may have even been before TNA, or maybe TNA was brand spanking new.
Mm-hmm.
Russo wrote a book, and halfway through the book is when I guess he becomes born again.
Right.
So it's written in two very different voices. And what he does
both of which
is,
say bro a lot.
yeah, he still says bro a lot. The my bro and God. But what he does that's interesting though is like when the switch happens,
Jesus, Mary, and Brosif.
He will go back and kind of like I'm being a little ridiculous when I tell this story, but he tells the story about how just before, like it was like right after Brett left, he was trying to get Vince to let him out of to let Owen out of his contract, and it just and they have like this 2-hour conversation, and while they're talking, hey bro, I don't know, I'll talk to him, I'll give it a shot. I just, he's locked in for a while, but we can.
Oh, it's Russo on the phone with Brett.
Yeah, he's on the phone with Brett, and then just before they hang up, Vince comes in over the phone and goes, "I'll never let him go," and the line goes dead. And that's the last conversation Russo had with Brett before they wound up in WCW together.
Okay, so here's my thing about that. They do kind of tell a story almost like this, but Vince claims that he offered Owen his release. He was like, "Owen, do you want to go?" And Owen said no. I'm like, I don't think that's true, Vince.
Who's going to argue against that point? Owen?
Martha.
That's true.
Right.
I was surprised. So they actually showed like the Jim Ross being like, "Oh, we got some problems out here, folks," like from the Owen Hart situation. They showed footage that like you can't find on like Peacock and stuff. So like footage actually from the day.
Oh, the satellite feed?
Yeah. The obviously not any footage of him of the accident or Owen, they do a big close up of the blood stain on the ring though, and they were like, these guys are out there wrestling in their blood, in Owen's blood, essentially. And Vince is like, "Oh, I don't understand people that think Owen wouldn't have wanted to continue. I'd want you to continue." And like, because Brett was like, I have a feeling that if it was his son Shane, dying out there, he wouldn't have kept the show going. He wouldn't have sent the next match out. And Vince was like, "I absolutely would have. I'd want you to do it if it was me." Yep. And I was like, "Yeah, you would, because you're an insane person."
Listen, even I push back on that too, though, because listen, there was a different time, and the mindset was totally different. It was still that carny, the show must go on. When the trapeze artist falls and there's no net, you tell everybody look over to the rings on the left, and let's watch this line jump through this hoop while we get this mangled body through the back curtain.
Kev, every time you say this analogy, I always crack up because it's just so fitting. It's so very fitting. It's the third time you said that, and I laugh every time. It's so true. It's so true.
It was a very tough decision to have to make at that time too.
Especially you sent Jeff Jarrett right out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the worst part. At least. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying it's very easy for us to sit here this many years later and look back and say, in retrospect, in hindsight, knowing what we know now. But I mean, there was a decent period of time where I'm sure nobody even knew he was gone yet, and they had to keep, you know what I mean? Like, look how long it took to get the whole Chris Benoit story after it happened. And that, it takes a couple.
I don't know, guys. I think I personally think it was a bad decision to keep the show going.
Yes, and
I will say decision.
Yes, but like I said, I can see how in the moment you would knowing.
But I think given the chance to do it again, I think Vince makes the exact same decision.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Vince makes that same decision every time because that's how his mind works.
Yeah. In 1999, yes, he makes the same decision every time. Once you fast forward to the mid 2000s, no, it's different because the world was different.
And I think the Benoit thing probably,
yes,
after
the world
that
was
kind
different, but Vince is not different. This is after the Benoit thing. He slapped the papers out of that reporter's hand. Like, I'm
not saying that Vince felt bad about the Benoit thing. I'm saying that Vince got embarrassed by the Benoit thing.
Oh yes, well yeah,
and that probably changed his judgment on that kind of stuff a little bit because he does not like being embarrassed.
Well, no, like the Owen, I always think about Freddie Prinze Jr. tells a story of when he was a writer for WWE. and he was on a plane, and they were flying somewhere, and he had his laptop out, and he was watching like Breaking Bad or something like that, like just whatever like one of the big shows of the day is. And Vince walks up behind him and he goes, "Hey pal, what are you watching there?" He's like, I'm watching, Breaking Bad." And he's like, "Why? WWE Network. We got content on 24/7 now." He's like, he honestly doesn't watch anything but WWE programming. And doesn't understand why anyone else in the world does either.
They make movies, pal. I have a Freddie Prinze Jr. story. He gave me permission to use a finish that he proposed for JBL and CM Punk.
Really?
And I was gonna. We is when he was first doing his podcast. We talked. I was originally going to do it at what was supposed to be my first show after our first mall show, but then the pandemic happened and ruined everything.
Right.
But
it does.
I'm still trying to find a way to do the finish in a way that'll make sense. But he said a second he does it, he'll talk about it on his podcast.
Oh, that's fantastic. You got to do it. You got to figure out some way to do it then.
Yeah.
See, we go through the Owen stuff. Okay. There were guys that were on it too much, like I said, like Brett and Tony Atlas and Dave Meltzer. There were also guys that were not on it enough. And the only one I could really think of for that one is Paul Heyman. Every time he spoke in this was glorious. Heyman has this way of speaking that, like, whether he's cutting a promo or just telling a story, this way of speaking where he just makes everything feel so important. Like it is the single most important thing that you have ever heard in your entire life.
Yeah.
And I love that. Love that. They seriously got everybody for this. They got The Rock, they got Austin, they got Cena. By the way, they're interviewing Rock, and they're talking about when Rock wins the title at Survivor Series. And he's like, and I said to Vince, I'm the first ever WWE champion of color, which is, you did not say that because nobody said of color in 1998.
Right.
He's like, I'm the first champion of color. And Vince did not care at all. He was just like, whatever. Like,
whatever.
Which I'm actually with Vince on that one. I'm like, no, you're not the first black world champion. You're the world champion.
Right.
So, just get out there and be the world champion. But everybody also likes to conveniently forget that The Rock is black.
Well, they did up until a few years ago.
No, they still are, because what's all this crap about, like, oh, Triple H has never booked The Rock in the main, or has never booked a black person on a pay-per-view to win. I'm pretty sure The Rock won at night one of WrestleMania this past year, or does The Rock not matter?
Okay, we're talking about psychos who do things of it's a racial of convenience.
He tells a story. He tells a story about Shane McMahon. He has an idea, a creative idea, and Vince hates it. And Vince is sitting there and he's looking at Shane and he's like, that's never going to happen while I'm alive. And Lord. And then apparently opens his jacket, hands Shane McMahon the knife that he's cutting his steak with, points at his heart, and says, "Are you going to do it? Because that's the only way you're ever getting your way on this. Or you can buy me out like I bought my father out. Or you could not do it, and then I'll know that you're not man enough." Like, he wanted Shane to kill him in that moment. I'll know you're not man. And he goes, and then the best line is, Are you gonna do what needs to be done, Shane, while I'm standing in your way? The way I would have had to done it to my father when he stood in my way? And I'm like, there it is. Because that's a thing we've always talked about, Kevin, is that he was planning to kill Vince Sr. before he bought him out.
All this because he didn't get a hug when he first met his daddy.
I know.
And a lot of people wanted the documentary to really delve deep into his childhood. And that might have been the only fascinating thing about the documentary had it been included in it. It
Well,
would have
yes,
been
and
very
that's
interesting
the
to
thing.
hear some stories about, some people that grew up around Vince McMahon. How about classmates? I mean, anybody who was at a couple grades lower than Vince is still around. I mean,
None of them are
I'd like to hear
around.
that story.
What about his brother?
They've all vanished.
What about his
Brother
Doesn't
died.
he have a brother? Oh, he did die. Yeah, that's right. He did.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a daughter that doesn't come out much? Wouldn't that? Isn't there one? Isn't there a third McMahon kid or something?
What?
No, I think
What's his name? Shawn Michaels?
No, that was
that was Hornswoggle.
That was the rumor during the 90s when no one knew who Shane's wife was.
That's right. That's right. Okay, that's right.
What?
You got it. Yeah.
I never heard that rumor.
Oh, you never? It was like just before. It was like when they were talking about going public. They put out a family photo, and it was Vince, Stephanie. What's Shane's wife's name? I can't think of it.
Melissa or Marissa or
Marissa Mazzola. Apparently an heir to the Mazzola oil company. I had no idea.
That's why Shane doesn't need to work anymore. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. What the hell?
No, they
have an olive oil in the basement.
But the photo was labeled as McMahon family, so everybody thought there was a third daughter or a third child that they never spoke about.
They actually show them taking that picture in the documentary. Because Vince is like, get in here, Marissa.
Totally
That's
right.
the only reason I knew her name was because that just happened. So finally we get around to episode 6. Where apparently in the midst of filming for this documentary, Vince McMahon gets a phone call and that all this stuff is going down. Not the Janelle Grant stuff yet, the first one, which was also Janelle Grant stuff, but that's when Vince retires. They do the thank you, Vince thing, and he goes away for a little bit to gather his power like Voldemort until he could return.
People still thought it was like Dawn Marie or something. You remember? It was nobody thought it was
Christy Hemme was the one I kept hearing.
Yeah.
So was he hiding on the back of Pritchard's head?
Yeah, he was 100% on the back of Bruce Pritchard's head. I love you. I don't. He's drinking unicorn blood.
Boy, if there's anybody you want on the team, it's Bruce Pritchard. That man will chill for you like nobody's business.
Mrs. Movie Monster said this to me also when she was like, wow, that guy's really loyal. And we talked about a thing that he said when he was like defending Vince. And he was like
about his wife.
Said something he said when his wife had cancer, she was given 4 years to live. And Vince opened up the money bin and made sure that she had the best care possible, and today she is alive. And I said to Mrs. Movie Monster, I said, you know what? If somebody kept you alive when you were supposed to die in 4 years, and we're 24 years on now, I would be fiercely loyal to them as Bruce Pritchard is to Vince McMahon.
And do you know how many
from a purely selfish point?
You know how many awful people I saw post something to the extent of, well, now we know why he's so loyal. Now that's where he got bought.
No comment.
His wife's life. That's
they be wrong though?
Buying somebody. That's just, I don't know, man.
Bruce was pretty loyal before that happened.
Yes, but here's the thing. Okay. The thing is, people are not all good or all bad. Everyone is varying shades of gray. And just because Vince McMahon can do something absolutely terrible.
One or two.
Some Mother Teresa was purely good, I'm sure. But just because somebody does something, horrifically evil, doesn't mean they have not also done a few good things in their lives too. And I think that is the nuance that I'm often overlook in these things. And that's not me excusing anything Vince has done. I'm just saying human beings are complicated.
Yeah.
Which would have been a nice touch for this documentary, because I'm sure he's done more philanthropy than Phil, thank you. Yeah, than what people take him for. I mean, just that one story alone is enough to switch somebody's perspective of him.
And really, honestly, if any one of us, here or anybody in the chat doesn't have that one friend that they would go to hell for, they would just follow them to the depths like that, then you're probably not that good of a friend. Like that's
I have that
friends
friend.
that
I've got that
friend.
friend is here on this panel.
Yeah.
Awful. No, I'm kidding. That's a friend that I just yelled at because that's what brothers do. I would fight through hell for my best friend. And it is a thing that it's a
look
bond.
at Kevin blushing. Lovely.
No. My wife just walked in here and told me to shut the hell up because I'm being entirely too loud.
So there's a blush of shame.
Yeah.
If you've got a friend like that in your life, that's somebody that you would march through fire for, you're a lucky person. Not everybody gets that. Or your family, you'd march through fire for your family. It's
some of them.
Mostly to get away from them.
I mean, there are some people that I would march through fire to get away from. All right. So the only thing when they got to the Janelle Grant stuff that I thought was new was they actually named Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
Instead of the the former UFC champion that they were negotiating with at the time, which we all knew was Brock, they flat out said it was Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. It was the guy, the Schumacher guy was the one who said that it was Lesnar.
Was it just him? Was he the one that said it, or
I thought it was.
It might not actually be. But they actually name dropped Brock, and so there's that. But then they go through. Towards the end of this, I started to understand Netflix's angle here, because Vince goes down in flames, and then the company gets sold. Yeah. Vince goes down in flames, and then they would do a whole thing about how great the company's doing and how the company's thrived and how Vince sold all his stock. This was to distance themselves from Vince before they bring Raw there in January.
Right.
100%.
That was the end of the day. This was 6 hours to lead to, and we got nothing to do with this guy.
Yep.
They had to bury him just to show that they're not in bed with him.
Yeah, and it's also served as previously on WWE. This is it. You got to break away from Vince. You got to do an introductory course for anybody who might not have had access to WWE or had kind of thought about it, because they just got the entire history, and they're ready to go for January 1st. It's a really smart business move, regardless of why they started doing it.
Did anybody catch that line that Vince said, which I thought was like riveting, and it was almost like a passing statement? They asked him, "What are you thinking right now?" And Vince goes, "There are two parts that I'm thinking. I'm thinking about this, and then also I'm thinking about sex.
Something to do with sex."
The image should have just went like burnt gray, and they should have zoomed in and been like, "This person right here." That's how you start this documentary. You don't put it on episode 6 and just have it a passing statement. But that was incredibly fascinating for Vince to say that.
Is Awful's mic?
Is my mic going crazy?
My tirade?
Yeah, you turned into Robo Awful.
It's okay. It probably censored out what he could. What was good? It probably censored out what we couldn't put on YouTube anyway.
We got the basis of what you were saying, and I agree with you. They really they put that in there because of what happened later. So Vince opens it up and being like, "Well, the way my mind works, pal, is I've got." He was doing the grumbling. He said, "I've got a computer in my brain." Yeah, he's always like, "I've got a computer in my brain, and the one computer could be talking to you, while the other computer is doing something completely different." And
it's called the conscious and subconscious, Vince.
It's like sometimes there's a third computer that's focusing on. So I find focus. I'm like, yes, Vince. It's called ADHD. A lot of people have it, and you were the poster child for it. But yeah, then he made that weird line about sex, and I was just like, oh man, that's not gonna. Bet you wish you hadn't said that.
That's not gonna come back later.
Never mentioned again. Yeah,
I would have loved it. Like it would just cut to Hagrid going, "I shouldn't have told you that." I shouldn't have said that.
That's going to be Exhibit Y at court.
We
sure. All the Candice Michelle years will be Exhibit Y at court.
I do like that they touched on that creepy Vince character, by the way. No one ever talks about that anymore. But
what, the one where he was banging all the divas?
Yeah, that kind of got erased from history there for a bit.
Yeah. Of course, they had to show the one where he was being all predatory at Ashley Massaro, because we have to put that evil on him that she killed herself.
Yeah. But we talked about Shane coming off. Well, I think Stephanie came off very sympathetic. I think she came off as a girl who grew up as a daddy's girl, and then grew and found out her daddy wasn't a great person and had to deal with that in her way. And I think that's very respectful. And because everyone online wants to always lump her in with everything, and they did a good job of, I think, while not painting her as a victim, showing how one could consider her a victim.
Yes.
So I appreciated that. And
I'm shocked they didn't show that promo that Steph cut during the feud with Vince, which she talked about how he would like pass her around to his business associates or whatever. I was like, I'm shocked they didn't use that. Shocked.
Yeah. I have a hard time not seeing it from Steph's point of view, the whole Vince thing, and just imagine how, that can ruin somebody, and how there's absolutely zero sympathy for her anywhere online or anywhere in the press. And, it breaks my heart a little bit, like that's a human being. That's a family. And just because one person in the family is bad doesn't mean they're all bad, So.
Yep. No, I
imagine
agree.
being Shane McMahon watching this documentary and having almost everybody to a man or woman say that Steph was ready. She was ready made for this business. Shane, he's a nice guy, but nice guys finish last in this business, essentially. Like, that's got to really chap his ass to know, like, wow, I mean, all I was trying to be was Shane McMahon, and everybody's telling me, like, I could never do this. What Shane or excuse me, what Stephanie or Vince is. That's really got to do something to you internally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he's going to pop up on Wednesdays in a couple of weeks.
That's exactly it.
That's tomorrow, baby.
My goodness. All right.
Maybe.
So enough about the Vince stock. We've got some stupid chats that we've got to get to. Let's go back and see what our good friends have been talking about.
Our entire chat was just chanting "fight" for 5 minutes, so that's probably what it is.
I know. BT23 said, my bad on earlier takes, but I want y'all's takes on why Darby has a title shot only to lose it to Moxley when you have Christian with his shot as well. It's bad booking.
Yep.
Week to week booking.
Crazy booking.
They had three.
It's booking by a Ritalin baby.
They had three people at one time that had earned title shots, and then one of them won it, and then one of them lost the title shot that they had earned before to the person who happened to be feuding with the one. It's ridiculous.
Why does Okada have a title shot tomorrow?
Well, why does
because
Bryan
we had to
Danielson
do
have a
that
title
stipulation where for the first 20 minutes of the match, his title is up for grabs.
That's right.
Yeah.
No one has to watch this match for 20 minutes and 1 second.
Right.
No. Bryan Danielson's title is on the line for 60 minutes.
Ooh.
So you have the Continental title for 20, for both of them for 20. So for the first 20, it's both titles. And then it's an hour-long time limit for the world title.
So now we know that this match is going to go over 20 minutes.
Yes.
We know that much. Secondly, oh my God. I don't even know where to begin.
He's feuding with the Blackpool Combat Club, if that's still what they're called, whatever Moxley's Romper Stomper group is, and wrestling a major main event match on a major show with a guy who's in the other heel stable trying to take over the company.
Right. That's week to week booking for you.
They have two. But yes. John J 8999 for 199 says Tony Atlas was amazing in this, just so good. And then John also says,
no, that's Kev. That's Kev. That's not Tony Atlas. That's Kevin. He's in the corner.
Hello there.
I know he does a really good impression, but that's not him.
Oh no. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm here.
It is dead on.
He actually said to me once.
Your impression is dead on, by the way.
Oh my goodness.
John also says Dave now is the fly not flying out of your kitchen. John Williams for $20. Thank you very much. Does not surprise Vince hates any third party that talks about WWE that does not kiss his ass. The documentary was disappointing. When announced, I was hoping it to go more into his background, tone, relationship with his brother. Here's the thing, and I think they say this. I don't remember if they said this in the documentary, or I think they did say it in the documentary. The only source of information that we have about Vince McMahon's childhood is Vince McMahon. And so you're not getting anything he doesn't want you to know. And he apparently doesn't want you to know a lot of things. Also, did you catch that? Like when Vince and Linda got together, he was 16 and she was 13.
Yeah. Crazy stuff, but that's legal in a trailer park.
Well, and I also think that boils down to like they were in high school and she was a freshman and he was a junior, which is the thing that happens.
Yeah. Was this the first time? Was this the first time? Also, they were set up by his mom. So it might have been a church thing too. But did they was this the first time that Vince ever publicly alluded to the abuse from his mother?
No.
I know he said that I know that in the Playboy he talked about being abused while he was under the care of his mother, but I don't remember it being directly on his mother like he did on
they put that they put that out there.
Doesn't he infer it on his DVD?
Does he? I like I said, I know he talks about having been abused, and he talks about, you know, it being of the nature that it was, and that it happened under that time period. But I've never heard it directly said my mother did it. And on this documentary, he flat out says my mother did it. So,
or somebody says it. I don't know if Vince says it, but somebody,
it was Vince because he said, mother. Yeah, he said I was physically abused by my father. I was
because the mom, the mom allowed it to happen essentially. You know, it's not like she was defending against.
She lived a long time too, his mother, because she was alive during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, they showed her in the doc. Yeah.
Yeah, in the wheelchair. He pushed her down the stairs. But it's okay. She didn't have any of that money. So you didn't have to take her out like you had to take out his father. I didn't you know what? I always thought that Vince Sr., that the way it worked was like Vince bought the company from Vince Sr. and then Vince Sr. like turned to dust, like just kind of went away. I didn't realize that Vince Sr. worked for Vince for a while.
Just plotting against him.
Yeah.
The other thing that they said I thought was interesting was that Gorilla Monsoon was the person that was supposed to take over the territory from Vince Sr. originally. I never knew that. I can believe that, yeah. That Monsoon was the heir apparent, and then Vince came in. But I mean, Gorilla Monsoon got such a sweetheart deal out of this. He died a very wealthy man.
Yeah. Same thing with Skolin. Like Skolin didn't do Arnold Skolin, for those who don't know. Arnold Skolin, former manager, but he got royalties from the company just by being there and playing cards and dominoes. Like, what a sweet gig. And apparently he was only there in like a certain region of the country just to be there because he knew he was getting paid whether he was there or not. And apparently there was another partner that was just like, he took his money and he ran. He never to be seen again. But yeah, I mean, him, Gorilla Monsoon, I believe, I can't remember who the third gentleman was, but yeah, they all got sweetheart deals, and that's why they were there in the company for such a long time.
His lifetime contract.
Oh yeah. And Vince does that stuff for his boys too. Like I know James Dudley was unreasonably wealthy when he passed away.
Good.
So you know, it was a WWE tradition for a while for them to take care of the old guard like that.
Yeah. Kevin Traum checking back in says, "Hey, I'm just curious. Is there any news on Britt Baker being a B?" Yes, lots.
She was one yes. Tomorrow.
Oh, awful! Your microphone. Your microphone is your name. I don't know what you just tried to say, and I'm afraid that if you try to say it again, it's going to happen again because that's how those things usually
know. I tried to crack a joke. Okay, I tried to crack a joke and say that Britt Baker was one yesterday, and she'll be one tomorrow.
All right.
Yes. This is a late breaking awful news.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Well, you got to make that now. You've got to make it now.
Kevin Trump says, I would like Mr. Apollo to redo his bear skit with a lot more emotion and anger. When did you do a bear skit? It was just you, like, I think it was like you yelling at the bear.
Oh, man.
Have there been any more sights of the bear lately?
No. I sent you the last time I saw him.
Yes.
But he's been I thought he was around this morning, but it was my neighbor doing laps.
He's now found
run out of the house and be like, ah!
No, because the dog was standing up, like barking at the window. I'm like, oh, this must be something good because it's garbage day. I was like, but I'm like, oh, it's too early. I gotta get the kids to school. I don't feel like dealing with this crap.
I need to fight a bear right now.
But no, just my neighbor doing laps. A garbage can happened to have been turned over, but it was not the bear.
Oh my goodness.
Quick NXT update. It did start airing at 8:00 in markets that had news in the beginning, but it started but it was late, so you got it on time delay. It wasn't like they picked it up in the middle, so you didn't miss anything.
That makes sense. Alejandro Melendez for $4.99 says the relationship between Vince and Shane is really depressing. The way the doc portrayed things, it seems like none of Shane's ideas were good enough. Well, apparently a lot of Shane's ideas were stupid.
Yeah.
From what I've heard.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good Shane ideas too, though. Shane was the one who said put ECW on YouTube and do whatever you wanted to do with it. And
because Shane had a good mind for business. It's when you get into the creative stuff that it really was.
For every put ECW on YouTube and buy UFC, there's I should win the Royal Rumble.
Right.
WWE Underground.
WWE Underground. I don't know.
It worked for 3 weeks.
That's just like the Wyatt Six.
Could you imagine Shane sitting at the table though when Vince did the whole like handing him the knife? It's like, you better do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it, Shane. Like he's either horrified or he's completely unfazed because this is the 5th time this week this has happened.
I'm saying unfazed. That's probably what got him to decide he was going to go bring pay-per-view to communist China.
Yeah. Do you think that Vince walks around with a note in his pocket that says, if I'm killed by my son or daughter, do not prosecute?
Do not resuscitate. Do not prosecute.
Oh, Vince would hate to be kept alive by machines.
Death is but a doorway. Time is but a window. I will be back.
Colin Taylor for $20. Kevin Apollo going all Blofeld is great. Thank you, Chocolate War God.
Chocolate War God.
Oh God, I love it. I love it so much. Last Call podcast for $5. Damn you, Kevin Apollo. I laughed so hard I nearly died choking on my steak and cheese sub. Look, if you and I were just like on the phone having that conversation, I would have had tears running down my face. I'd have been laughing so hard. My reaction, guys, I'm not trying to be the spoil sport here. It's just that I know how this game works now with the YouTube gods, and they suck. Okay,
Marvin the Movie Monster, wet rag.
Yes, I know. I have to be the wet rag. John J 8999 for $1.99. Biggest lesson from the doc: hugs and dads matter. Yeah, that seemed to kind of be the thing. It was like, well, my father never hugged me, so I never hugged Shane. And it was like super kind of like Shane hugging his kids. Like it was just there were so many shots of Shane with his kids to just show that he's not a terrible father like Vince.
Yeah, and that hug at WrestleMania 32 was the most heartbreaking. Just watching like the look on Shane's face where you can tell it's the most important thing in the world to him, and then the look on Vince's face where he's like, I have a show to run. Like,
yeah.
All right, get it out of your system. Yeah. So after WrestleMania 32, he comes back in the back and he goes up to Vince and they have like a hug, and Vince gives him I'm proud of you, kid. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. Like it's the biggest moment of Shane's life. And Vince clearly cannot wait for this moment to be over so that he can go back to sit at Gorilla because he has to feed Michael Cole his next line.
He gives all other wrestlers longer hugs than he gave Shane.
Yeah. There was the John Cena hug was far more enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic
really.
and heartfelt. Yes.
Yeah. Grabbed his ass and everything.
Guerrero. Yeah.
Yeah.
He also says Shane McMahon's Drake trying to Adonis before pushing this. I don't even know how to pronounce all this, but John Williams for $1.99. Power to the 199 says if Vince likes you, he'll do anything to help you. And Miss October 30 for $5. Thank you very much. He goes, Mercedes makes me so angry due to her ego and delusion. Every time I hear Mone Mag, I can't believe this was the same woman I admired as Sasha Banks. Well,
that was your first mistake.
WWE controlled everything that was coming out of her mouth. That's why.
Is that a segue?
Do we
Yeah.
have? Do we
That is
have
100% a segue, by the way.
God damn it.
Damn it. I'm sorry.
All I can say is, Marv, you got to read fast, bro. Like,
I'll read fast this week. I promise.
I'm sorry. I take it back. I didn't mean any of it.
Awful Jeopardy got bumped because of this.
The segment's gold.
Yes.
CWJ 128 for $5. What is the end game for the BCC cosplaying as those people who with shaved heads and overalls? How does Moxley eventually go back to being a fan favorite? Thank you all. I don't know. How did Sergeant Slaughter go back from being an Iraqi sympathizer?
I want my country back.
Yeah.
Do we know now for certain, like they're portraying skinheads, or was this like one again, like booking on the fly? We got to do something.
Well, when you dress like a duck, you talk like a duck, and you beat up a couple of small black twinks, maybe, just maybe,
You're a KKK duck.
yeah.
Quack quacker.
Dad, can we just have one dinner without you offering to let one of us get you?
Yeah, really.
The way I would have to do on my father if I didn't buy him out. My God.
He obviously
right,
wanted
guys.
Shane to serve time.
No, I honestly think it would have been a do not resuscitate, do not prosecute thing. It is, you know, it's the Ron Swanson thing where he carries his will around in his wallet that just says all my belongings upon my death will transfer to the man or animal that has killed me. And he's like, what are all these weird symbols at the bottom? The man who kills me will know.
Yeah.
But guys, it's time. It's time for a new issue of the Mone Mag. She will always turn her back on her friends. She's the biggest setter of trends. She knows just how far Paige's neck bends. She is the one Mercedes Moon.
You you've got to make the actual song.
I know, I do. Mercedes Monet, digital magazine, the Mone Mag Weekly, Volume 2, Issue 16. Hey, Mone Makers! It's been another crazy week, and I got some amazing stories to share with you all. Oh boy, I can't wait. From hanging with my besties at the 49ers game, to press week in New York City, to reminiscing about the days of wrestling in front of 11 fans. Dynamite.
Yeah, really.
New Japan.
Come on. I had to beat awful to that joke. I'm sorry. We got a lot to talk about. But first, just a quick reminder to the press, when crediting us, remember to refer us as Mone Mag, because we are, after all, a digital magazine and not a newsletter. All right, now let's talk Mone. So the
defensive.
basic premise of this, good Lord, Tamina looks just like her father at this point. Like just like him.
What, a linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah. The main thing that I took away from this is Mercedes Moné has no friends on the AEW roster. All her friends are still in WWE.
Hold it right there, Marv. Hold it right there. Who is Monet, the one in the middle?
I would believe so. Yeah, that's her in the middle.
So who's that to her left or to her right?
I don't know.
Interesting, because she looks.
Roxanne, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Bailey and Naomi and Tamina. But,
oh, it's Naomi. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh no,
I think he's talking about her. He's talking about the
Yeah.
one in the sunglasses.
Yeah, her stunt double.
Yeah, really. You ain't kidding. Like to see her wrestle.
my best friend, Pam Bailey Martinez, called me up and said, hey, girl, come to California, hang out with Naomi and Savrona, a.k.a. Tamina, to watch the 49ers game. How could I say no? When the gang's back together, we have to make it happen. For those who don't know, Trinity and Savrona are my day ones from WWE. We've been there so much together, and every time we link up, it's like no time has passed. Mostly because I just talk, and like I don't let them talk. Going to the game was especially amazing since I hadn't seen Savrona in forever and Trinity only briefly when I was in New York for Forbidden Door. And I was like, wow, how'd that whole walking out with me thing work out for you? Because like I'm making a whole lot of money now. The day began with us meeting up for mimosas before hitting the suite Bailey and the 49ers got for us. Now, let's be real. I'm not the biggest 49ers fan. You all know I rep Boston and my Patriots. Somewhere Joe Numbers just collapsed, holding the sides of his head. But I threw on my gear to support my girls. The game was intense, but in the end, the Rams swooped in and left Bailey and Naomi super mad. Despite the loss, we had a blast being together, which made the day unforgettable.
They watched 10 minutes of that game and called it a day.
Chat saying the other lady was Bianca.
No.
Bianca?
That's what
No way.
That's not Bianca. The hair's not long enough.
Nor is she dark enough.
Wait. You know that hair's not real, right, Marv?
That's not real?
You can't don't give away those cookout secrets.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm sorry. No, it's great. It's real. It's
That's why I'm not.
We
invited
discussed
to
this we discussed this, Marv.
You're gonna lose your pass.
I have a pass?
Well,
I
you
never
did.
used it.
Almost lost it a half hour ago.
There's no way that's Bianca.
Marv did the right thing because you're never supposed to point out the weave ever. So Marv is the one.
Exactly. I'm keeping my pass now that I know that I have it.
And when did Bianca become 5'3"? Like,
That's not Bianca.
Yeah. I can barely see it right now. I'm just telling you what the chat said. So.
All right, AEW Grand Slam, New York City Press, Charlemagne the God. I don't want to read this one.
please read it.
All right. Charlemagne the God is all over wrestling this week. He's also Swerve's back up in the contract tampering thing.
Yeah.
Right after that game, I flew straight to New York City for an epic media day promoting Grand Slam and getting ready to celebrate AEW's 5-year anniversary. It was go, go, go from the moment I landed in New York City.
Oh,
We had
please.
all the major outlets from the Breakfast Club to like Pretty in Pink to like all the 80s movies to Barstool, the Daily Mail, and more. Meeting Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club was surreal because I was like, where's Molly Ringwald? I've been watching him since I was a teenager. I remember seeing him on VH1 with Wendy Williams. So chatting with him at wrestling felt like such a full circle moment. Guys, I'm like the best person. Like no one lives a better life than me. I didn't know what to expect as he's been known to get into it with guests, but with me, he was chill, as were his co-hosts, mostly because I just talked the whole time and never let them talk.
He didn't know who she was.
Oh, of course not. They're just like, man, you kind of hot. Wrestling seemed like a different world to him, and it was fun to observe how it piqued his interest. It was a great experience. I'm not sure that's the last time we will meet.
Oh, I guarantee it'll be the last time you guys will meet.
Yeah, you guys are done. You're like, you guys are not meeting again.
I don't know.
I'd love to see the rating books for the Breakfast Club during her segment.
Oh, what the heck is this?
I can see it.
That's David Bixen's man, isn't it?
Yep.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
This is Barstool Sports, Frank the Tank. One of my favorite stops was Barstool Sports, where I met Frank the Tank. He shared his incredible journey of losing over 200 pounds by just walking around New York City, and it was so inspiring. But I was like, man, how fat were you to begin with?
Yeah, really.
That's like the kind of thing she would say to somebody. Many fans have rallied around him in his story, and I can see why. He was such a sweetie. And doing a walk and talk style interview through New York City was actually fun. Look, he's got a little belt. He's got a little belt, but I have it. Oh, I don't know. Like she looks like, she looks like she's wearing a burlap sack.
Yeah.
Look at this guy
brown.
Look at this guy staring directly at her chest.
Oh yeah, he gives no F's.
No, he's looking at the
As
belt.
you're up
He's
here,
a belt
Frank the
guy.
Tank.
Come
He's
on.
a belt mark. He's looking right at the belt.
He's looking at that belt. Look at him.
He's trying to sniff the belt.
Look at the hands here, by the way. Look how little contact she's attempting to make with this human being.
I'm surprised.
Like that is like heel of the hand and fingertips only.
Just giving him the brother shake.
Yeah,
I was just about to say. Dead
You
fish.
gotta
Hot
have the limp
wings.
wrist. It shows that you can work. Really?
Hot Wings Challenge. The day ended with Hot Wings at Complex, where you're posed questions and face. So at first I thought, like, was she on Hot Ones? Like, because that's kind of like big. No, she's not.
She did a Q&A at a wings restaurant. Right?
Yeah,
That's what.
and then with Hot Ones at Complex, where you're posed questions and faced with the choice to answer a certain tough question or eat the hottest wings you can imagine. Let's just say I ate my share of hot wings to avoid the tougher questions.
What are tough questions to
What are tough
Mercedes
questions?
Moné? Like, really?
I just want to point out Seth Rollins was on Sunday Night Football this week, and Mercedes Moné was at Lil Hoots doing a wings eating contest.
Oh my god! Look, we're trying to make it look like it's Hot Ones, but it's not.
Oh my god! Hell no!
Look at my belt; it says strong on it. Mercedes, what happened after you broke Paige's neck? I'll take the wings, thank you very much.
What's the Schofield measurement on that?
The Scoville.
Scoville, whatever.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I'm not doing the death nut. It's like 16 million Scoville. The Mount Rushmore of my toughest opponents. This question came during the Hot Wings
F.
Challenge. Spoiler alert for my Mount Rushmore of toughest opponents. I answered Charlotte Flair, Bayley, Bianca, and Willow. You'll have to see the interview to know why those are my choices. So
I said Willow because I was told to say Willow.
I said Willow because I realized I didn't say anyone from AEW, and those bitches already be mad enough at me.
She's the only one I remember because she hurt me that one time.
Why is there a picture of Bob Backlund in the Mone Mag? That was not what I was expecting as I scrolled here. Was a picture of Bob Backlund.
Read on.
Bob Backlund and the Strongest Women. My advocate, Kev Undergaro, is a classic wrestling fan from the 1980s on and loves watching and share. My advocate? Like, do you mean your lawyer?
Wrestling advocate. It's the person who tells
Brock
her wrestling
Lesnar
opinions.
has an advocate. It's that big fat Jewish guy, and so I wanted an advocate too. So I had Kev Underoos.
She found a mark that she can pay to tell her opinions on things.
Yeah. He recently shared an old school video of Bob Backlund deadlift picking up Hulk Hogan off the apron with one arm. Yes, you read that right. And it sparked a conversation about the strongest women I've ever stepped in the ring with. Let me tell you, I faced some powerful athletes, but these three stand out as the strongest women I've ever wrestled. Number one, Charlotte Flair. Without a doubt, Charlotte takes the top spot. The woman doesn't even know her own strength. She's a super athlete, and I just think she's still discovering how physically powerful she is. Oh my gosh.
Did she wrestle Jordan Grace at all?
No.
Okay.
Nia Jax, number two. So Charlotte is stronger than Nia? I don't know if I buy that. Like Charlotte, Nia doesn't fully grasp how strong she is. That's why she hurts so many people. She's kind of like me, but like strong. Like Mercedes hurts people because she drops them on their heads because she can't physically hold them up. Nia hurts people because she's got the strength of three Hulks and doesn't know how to tap somebody. Mercedes Moné in a real fight, I picture like when Mr. Burns like tries to fight somebody. I'm going to give you the thrashing of your life. Oh wait, so were the only two strong ones Charlotte and Nia?
Was that
everyone else?
I like how
else
she
like
compares
Swerve.
Nia to the Juggernaut. Once she gets going, she doesn't stop.
That was what I
Was
once
that
said
at a
about
buffet
her.
table?
Oh my goodness.
Boy.
Strength and agility in wrestling. Strength and athletic ability, of course, factor into great wrestling. That's why I'm like not that great at it. However, for me, it's a lot of the little in between things that a wrestler does beyond just those attributes, like getting paid lots of money. That makes you the best. Things that people don't see or pay attention to at first, like how much money you make. These are things that seem so simple, like footwork or how they maneuver themselves into the ropes. It's also about the connection that you build with the crowd, the psychology you bring to the ring. Oh, God.
Yep.
And how you tell a story through your moves. I'm like an artist. I'm like Bret Hart. These wrestlers don't just dominate physically. They know how to play with their craft and apply psychology for the fans to really connect with them.
I keep an earpiece in my ear to make sure they tell me my moves.
Yeah. How would Alundra Blaze do today? Speaking of past performers and legends who can wrestle, we girls have Alundra Blaze to look to. When I think of legendary women from the past, Medusa Alundra Blaze stands out. She could absolutely compete today, but she's like really old, guys. Like really old. She made
Also,
waves
like,
in her
Bob Backlund and Alundra Blaze. Like it's so transparent.
I know about wrestling, guys. Like, I know about all that wrestling.
I'm a wrestler.
I just want to show Kevin Nash that I'm like one of the boys. So he doesn't say things about me that he says about Logan Paul. She made waves in her prime, winning championships in Japan and WCW, even famously throwing the title in the trash. However, she was a serious wrestler and a trailblazer for women.
You know how telling. Okay, we talked about earlier how she doesn't hang out with the AEW women. She doesn't tell stories about AEW women.
No.
And when she is talking about Medusa, she calls her Alundra Blaze.
I know.
It is just WWE. That's all she cares about.
Yep.
She doesn't
100%. She
it.
wants back there in the worst way, but she can't go back because they won't pay her that money.
Right.
Yeah. Are there old classic women's matches? Oh my God, my brain just shut down.
Yes, you did.
Oh God, I'm blown away by some of the, I don't even want to read this. I can't. Wendy Richter, yes, we know she got screwed. Wrestling in front NXT days and wrestling in front of 11 people. My first ever NXT show was in 2012. Believe it or not, we had a special guest, Booker T, to help sell tickets. And then he was like, "No, my name's not Booker T, it's Shelton Benjamin." And I was like, "Oh my God, Booker, you're so funny." It was also exciting until we saw only 11 people showed up. I couldn't believe it. It was such a shock. Like, this is the WWE, but NXT was still new back then. It really prepared me for the crowds that I would eventually come to experience in AEW. Like, sometimes I go out there and I'm like, this is all that showed up? Like, this is the AEW? And somebody was like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
These tickets must be like $40,000 a piece.
This weekend's Mone Mag mentions, well, if they're not $40,000 a piece, then how could Tony afford to pay me all that money? As you know, I can't always respond to your emails and messages, but I love reading them because I totally read them myself and I don't make Jennifer Pepperman do it. We will feature a few of my faves each week, so please keep them coming. I'll also try to answer some of your questions in upcoming issues, so be sure to keep reading. This week, I want to give a special heartfelt Mone mention to Taylor McCoy.
My name's Taylor. We actually met back in 2019, and you were so amazing with my sister Cheyenne, and I wanted a chance to thank you for that. We enjoy your matches so much, and we hope to see you again in person soon. You've always inspired me to follow my dreams, even if they're scary.
Oh my God, this is AI. This is AI. These are AI responses.
No, because there's a typo in the next sentence.
I can't to see what matches we get from you next, but I hope once Sky Blue is healed up, we see the two of you run it back. I have to thank you for keeping me so invested in wrestling. You're the best. Thank you again.
From your CEO. Thank you, Taylor. I can't wait to meet you again. I also look forward to tearing it up with Sky. She's fully recovered? Okay, so all even right. Mercedes is doing the typos here.
Yep.
She has a bright future.
She's got to go to the Oxford Dictionary.
It's like the one thing she actually wrote in the entire thing.
Right. On a bender in the hotel.
Christopher Harmon.
Who's your favorite opponent in my dream match with the CEO? Here's 3 names that I've worked with that would be ideal opponents.
Worked with? Was this an indie guy?
Number 1, Savannah
3
Ford.
Dimeless broads. Go on.
She may always be Sierra Rose and has even appeared before on AEW TV as a member of MJF's staff. Number 2, Zoe Stark. She made her start in UCW 0 and is now on WWE TV. Number 3, Reika Takaha.
Or with Reika in Devotion Championship Wrestling. She's amazing and one of the toughest Polynesians. From your CEO. Interesting, Christopher. Those are two women I've never heard of before. I'll have to look them up.
Yeah, I gotta Google them.
I never heard of these people that you love. Here's one from my biggest fan, Jesus. Hi, Mercedes. Fan of yours since you made your debut in The Mandalorian Season 2. And I'm excited for you that you're part of the Star Wars universe. And also Athena made history by becoming the longest ROH Women's Champion. How to feel about it? From your CEO. Oh my God, Jesus. I always knew you were a fan. I'm so proud of Athena. I totally didn't just Google who that was. She's like one of the best in the world. She's definitely a champion. I look forward to facing one day and taking her belt. Then I'll have 3 belts.
Hey, Zeus.
You know she thought it was Jesus.
I know.
Larry Barr. Mercedes. Love Mone Mag. Love reading these. So happy to see you in AEW as a champion. I appreciate you and your career and what you have accomplished over your career. Not just wrestling, but also when you were in The Mandalorian. And you were great as Costco Reeves. Love reading these. From your CEO. Thank you, Larry. You're the best. You know, some people were like, Mercedes, you were like the best part of The Mandalorian. And I was like, I know. Was she in the room when Luke Skywalker showed up? No, right?
No. She was long gone at that point. Right?
Where did she go?
She just
dressed up as a stormtrooper in that scene.
Did she?
I don't know.
It's awful.
It was another bad joke.
I remember it was like
no, that's not what I meant.
It's Fennec, Cara Dune, and Bo are in there, but I don't remember her being in there. Let's see. Emily Rodriguez. Whatever happened to your previous entrance song used in NJPW? Will we ever see you walk to the ring with it again? What's the story on the change to the new CEO theme? From your CEO. It's on Spotify called Monet. I want to re-upload it with my rap part on it. Coming soon. Chuck Johnson. Mercedes, I'm proud of your growth. I told you you could do it. I've seen some of our discussions in your writings. Don't stop getting better. You are a goat. From your CEO. Thank you, Chuck. I don't think I'm a goat. I'm actually a lady. Thank you very much. Chuck, we all need to become the CEOs of our lives. These are my heartfelt responses to all of you. God, this is vapid.
Yeah, what pictures were supposed to be there?
I don't know.
Wait, you know what's worse? It's the voices you give them. It's so it's like they should be. It's the bad guys from any episode of Criminal Minds is what you're channeling. When you're doing her fan voices, it just creeps me out to no end.
I know. I'm sorry.
Some of them sound like my former coworkers.
Remember go ahead.
Go ahead.
Our standing offer, if anyone can get a message to Mercedes through Mone Mag and get it read on the air, I will give them an Amazon gift card.
Oh my gosh. Apparently you have to mention The Mandalorian. I'm going to play a potted plant on the Skeleton Crew.
Well, at least we didn't hear anything about her funky ass crystals.
Oh, I really wish you mentioned her brother again because I really like that. Stay in my room, Joshua. Miss October 30 for $2. Sucks to be you, Apollo, when Bob does the mag. The worst part of your
Sucks
week.
to be all of us. What are you talking about? It's not just
Dr.
Apollo.
64 for $2. I don't mind the IWC. Good for you, man. I envy you. Colin Taylor for $20. WWE was brilliant in naming the second show after their most popular wrestler's catchphrase, SmackDown. If WCW had copied them, they would have won the war. Well, what would it have been?
It's coming. It's coming. He gives the punchline.
Oh, okay. Colin Taylor for $20. Oh, there we go. Just imagine Thunder being renamed WCW Slapnuts after a brand extension. You could have had Scott Steiner versus Vampiro for the Slapnuts Championship at the Viagra on a pole pay-per-view. Oh, Colin, I should have known better than to question you.
I had I had a punchline, but I his was better. I had one, but I couldn't.
What was yours gonna be?
What was yours?
Mine was gonna be Thursday night. Sometimes Mama says like Mama says, sometimes it's got to be that way. My favorite Sid catchphrase of all time.
Cue the car crash.
Thursday, somebody called my mama.
I'm trying to think of other like catchphrases from
everyone has
WCW. That doesn't work for me, brother.
How about this? WCW. That was a shoot. We could do that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
WCW. He's so green, he's blue. They could just keep using Mike Saunders quotes.
Vanilla midgets.
WCW never drew a dime. Alejandro Melendez for $4.99. I could see Joey Numbers pulling a Captain Kirk from Star Trek 2, looking up at the air and yelling "Mone" every time she said she's from Boston. Yeah, Joey was very defensive about that when we talked to him. He was just like, "She's not from Boston."
Oh yeah.
Oh man. All right. So
them city folks are awfully defensive.
You ready to talk? You ready to talk about the fact that the Oh, you know what? Let's talk about Tony Khan being a little bit of a hypocrite. Now, I don't mind Tony Khan doing what he did here, but he's a hypocrite because he said it was something he was never going to do.
Right.
So let the record show that.
Tony
Khan.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Before we dive into this, I'm just curious. Did they re-sign at some point in time? Because haven't they been there kind of since day one?
They were one of the 5 years.
They were one of the 5 years. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
They were one of the 5 years.
Okay.
Well, I mean, guys that were not big names at the time, I'm sure they wanted to sign for 5 years. Take this guy's money for 5 years. And now, so the Lucha Brothers were leaving to go to WWE. Tony Khan offered them the world to get them to stay. They said no because they realized that if they appear on NXT once, then their card is punched forever in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
Tony decided that once it was announced they were going to go to WWE, Tony extended Penta's contract by a year for injury time. Now, Tony is within his rights to do this. It is part of business. However, Tony also said he would never do this. Tony Khan was the king of if you don't want to be here, don't be here. And when I said this on Twitter, I think a lot of people thought I was criticizing Tony Khan for doing it. I'm not. I'm criticizing Tony Khan for ever saying in the first place that he wasn't going to do it, because he babyfaced himself up the wazoo and he has broken every single one of his rules. It's like Scrubs when Dr. Cox becomes the chief of medicine after being up Kelso's butt for like 7 seasons about everything that he does that he would do better, and then once he's the chief of medicine realizes that he can't not do he has to do all of those things that Dr. Kelso did in order to make the hospital function. That's what happened here. And so
I mean, well,
go ahead.
The interesting thing about that too is that if you've noticed, everyone says it's something WWE does, something WWE does. Triple H had the option to do that at least 3 times since he took over and has not exercised that option. I'm curious about, because I have not gotten a straight answer. Is this something that is automatically baked in legally to contracts because of legal reasons, or is this something that can be negotiated out?
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because I thought that, like, I'm confused on when they would have had the opportunity to have had it put in, because all those original guys didn't have it. So unless they took an extension and he snuck it in, how are so many of these guys jammed up on the injury time clause now? Because that was a big thing. You look at Punk's contract. Punk's contract was able to run and go because there was no injury time provision. So was this for some people and not for others? And if that's the case, then if I'm the Lucha Bros, I can I can wait for a certain commercial to come up with a clever catchphrase for the people and probably sue my way out of that for disparate treatment.
Yeah. That's why I was curious about it, because if it's a legal thing that he has the option to employ and he chooses not to, sometimes there's not really much he can do about that. But if it's something that he baked into their contracts and he's choosing to do it to them after not choosing it to do to other people, that does set some kind of precedent there.
Yeah,
well, I mean, he could extend Miro very easily. Miro wants out,
and he could have extended Andrade, and he didn't extend Andrade.
Is it because these guys vocalize their intentions? Maybe on social media.
They didn't though. Like
Conan, didn't Conan say it?
The dirt sheets did, and Conan said that he implied, yeah, I think that's a great idea. When Conan says it's a great idea, he obviously told them to do it. But it was stuff reported by dirt sheets, and it all went to, now it's here. Now this is where we are.
Isn't that all it takes?
And it seems like it was an 11th hour decision. The guy, what was it? Which one's staying? Not Penta, the little one.
Phoenix.
Phoenix says Phoenix gives AEW a really nice goodbye on an Instagram post, and then 48 hours later, he's got injury time tacked on.
Yeah. Although, and to be fair, this is all dirt sheet stuff too. There's been, Phoenix has not made a comment on this other than saying that I am in AEW currently, and that is what I will focus on currently. That's all he said. So we don't know what's true and what isn't.
I don't understand the need to, because Tony, he's not going to put them on TV if they're leaving.
No.
So what's the point of extending that? Because the point of extending someone for injury time is, okay, I paid you all this money for you to perform. You were not able to perform, so I'm gonna extend you and pay you so that you can perform for that period of time. So I'm still basically getting an opportunity to get a return on my investment. If he just sidelines them and continues to pay them, he's just losing money.
It's insane. It's also why I think it's so stupid when he listen. Everybody understands it's not going to come out the way I'm going to say it. But this isn't a real sport. You need these people on TV. If you want to punish someone, you job them out. But what you pulled Britt off of TV in the middle of probably one of the only hot storylines you had going because she was suspended. Stop it. You're gonna keep this guy on your payroll and not put him on TV, but you're gonna keep him there. Why?
I was listening to Busted Open yesterday. Very rarely I listen to Busted Open, but I caught it at a great time because they asked Mark Henry about this. And Mark Henry went off about the Ray Phoenix situation and basically told Ray Phoenix, don't cash Tony's checks before you talk to somebody. Like, he basically said that over the air. And then he started going off on guys like Miro and guys like Wardlow and guys like Powerhouse Hobbs or guys like Keith Lee, who sit home and during what should be the prime of their career, or at least setting up for the end of their career. And instead they're sitting home, not getting reps, which makes them more injury prone, which devalues them more. By the time they get out of the contract, they're not going to be able to get hired anywhere because Miro could walk into a ring tomorrow and bust his quad because he hasn't been wrestling for a year. It's ridiculous. And it was nice hearing Mark Henry go off, but Bully Ray always had a good point, which was then don't sign the contract, and that's kind of what it always comes down to, right? Is don't sign the contract. So
let that be a lesson to everybody. Take a good hard look at your contracts.
Get a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Some people say that what WWE did next was a response to this. I don't think it was. WWE filed to trademark. Yes.
Yeah, it's theirs.
That is not a response to this.
It was a response. It was a response to.
It's a response to what Danielson did.
Yeah,
it's a response to Danielson doing it all out.
And trying to trademark it. Brian Danielson applied to trademark it last month. He got denied, and WWE's like, "Oh, you're going to apply? Well, screw you. We're just going to take it back." That's what happened.
Yeah.
Because Brian Danielson also promised them he wouldn't do it, and there he was.
The hypocrisy of AEW fans doing the yes chant is insane to me, because that's one of those things where they're like, oh, this is the thing that the WWE made him do. This was an insult. And look, at the end of the day, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon went to great lengths in promos to prove that the yes chant was more over than Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
Remember when Stephanie did it? And the whole crowd was doing it along with her, and she was like, look, they're doing it for me now.
When the Miz turned face, they gave it to him. And he did it.
And they gave it to the Big Show. They gave it to Alberto Del Rio.
And I love how the big thing at first was it's like, oh yeah, in AEW he doesn't need that WWE crap, but now it's turned around to, he invented it. It was entirely his idea. He stole it from a soccer player, I believe, anyway. But they're like, yeah, he invented it. And it's like, first off, they act like lying is something we've evolved out of in the past 5 years. Like, people can't just make stuff up for some reason. I can prove that wrong if I want, but so they completely flipped when I was like, well, it should be his because he invented it. Just like, shut up. The no stuff was over too. Does that make it his? No. Are both words copyrighted by Bryan Danielson now?
Well, did you see Cornette put a video out where him and Brian Last go through all of the things that Jericho has patented in the last 5 years, and it's insane.
Oh, yeah.
Literally everything he's ever said on TV, he patents. Which also, by the way, means Tony owns nothing.
Well, that was his intention,
gimmick,
wasn't it?
Yeah. No gimmick that Jericho has done on AEW is owned by AEW.
He did it with WWE for a while. He tried to, at least, yeah.
Jericho's patents are Jericho's patent lawyer must bilk him for a fortune, because every day he calls us like, I need to he goes, I need to trademark This Week in Christery.
Oh God.
Which is a real thing that he trademarked. Great moments in Christery.
Did you see Hogan came out and said, oh, he's just doing Hollywood Hogan 2024? Like, that's all this is.
Wait, Hogan said that?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a Hollywood Hogan tribute act, brother.
It is. It really is.
In every conceivable way, including that doesn't work for me, brother.
And keeping everything for yourself. The company owns nothing. You own everything. The not putting the young guys over, but bleeding off of their heat. All of it. It's all Hogan. It's all Hollywood Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Top to bottom.
But yeah, I don't blame AEW for extending the contract. I don't blame WWE for trademarking. Yes, it's a big part of their TV. It was a huge thing that they made a lot of money off of. And Tony Khan would love to sell yes shirts for Daniel Bryan.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And the AEW fans would all buy them. All the pimply white guys who wear big black and jacked shirts.
They did that nonsense at All Out. And me and you counted, Marv, it was like 7 times he did the yes chant.
Yeah.
7 times in a row. And it was just like, I think we both came to the same conclusion, like, well, that's going to end tonight. No matter whether it's on pay-per-view or Dynamite, it's over.
We were like, cease and desist incoming.
It's funny that they not only got shut down completely on that yes thing. You're never going to hear that again in AEW at this point. That's completely shut down. But their big legal case about contract tampering that Tony was talking about on Instagram a couple months ago, and Triple H gave the big thumbs up to. Swerve Strickland basically went on Charlemagne the God show and said, "Yeah, that didn't happen. It wasn't."
He said it didn't happen.
He said, it's not like they contacted me directly, and they never asked if I re-signed. They contacted someone in my crew and asked if I was available to talk, and they said no.
Which is what
shout
you're
out
supposed
Counselor,
to
do. who blew the lid on that one. Like,
that was me.
Oh, it was you as well?
Yeah. He took my screenshot.
Okay. Shout out Counselor.
Swerve, Swerve has kind of been out of control lately, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got too much. He's got loose lips. That's what's going on.
Okay. You know what? Perfect segue, guys. Perfect segue.
Thank you.
Because I want to talk a bit about things that Swerve is saying right now. So there's this. Okay.
It's an official movie. We're about to move. We're about to get on Fox because SmackDown's leaving Fox, and then we're taking Fox.
You look, Fox and Warner Brothers. It's getting nasty outside. I'm telling you.
TBS, and Fox. We got all three of them things. And Tony Khan lets me do whatever I want.
We're about to get on Fox, and Tony Khan lets me do whatever the F I want.
And Swerve not one time looked to his right to see that there was a camera there.
I believe him when he says he didn't think there was a camera there. Unlike Tony.
Then we've got this Cultaholic article report. Swerve Strickland wishes he could take back his comment on AEW Fox TV deal.
And here's the problem.
Sure you do.
The problem with that is that the person who shall not be named on this show was the person that who said that Swerve Strickland wishes wish he had not said that. So I take that with a grain of salt. We're talking about SRS, by the way, but yeah, okay. I mean,
no, I believe him when it comes to AEW stuff. I believe all the dirt sheets when it comes to AEW stuff because they get it directly from AEW.
Right. Okay. All right.
AEW is actually communicating with the dirt sheets. WWE is the one that's purposely trying to lock them all out.
But what are they communicating to these dirt sheets? Is it falsehood or is it truth? And it's obviously falsehood.
It's whatever they want the truth to be.
Yeah. He's an idiot to begin with.
Here he is on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody complain that somebody got too much money. That's what they said earlier.
All right, so he's talking about the fact that WWE basically, the rumor is that WWE was upset that AEW was essentially jacked up Swerve's market value far beyond his actual value as a talent. Because here's the thing, WWE focuses on the actual value of a talent. It focuses on things like how much money can we make by employing you? Because that is, guys, literally every job you have ever had, whether it's flipping burgers or being a CEO, somebody has crunched the numbers on what they pay you versus what value you generate for the company.
Right. Are you an asset or are you a liability?
And it's as true for wrestling and any other sport or any other movie or TV show or working as a garbage man.
I've never heard anybody complain that somebody got too much money. That's what they said earlier. Well, they only complain when a black person gets paid. I will say that.
There we go. They only complain when a black person gets paid. This is starting the snowball that we're about to talk about.
When it dirty gets paid, snowball.
And that's what. Once again, we shake the foundation and things like that because it's like, oh snap, wait, and
yes, we shake the foundation by grifting a billionaire for millions of dollars. Yeah, we're Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
We're like the same thing. Dr. Martin Luther Swerve over here because I grifted a billionaire out of $100 million or however much he got.
That's not what we would pay. I'm like, then why are you calling me? Why are you asking me?
Right.
You know, like if I'm not your concern, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about my pockets and our money. We good.
Okay, so here's why they're worried about it, idiot. They're worried about it because now, if AEW closes, your career is over.
Yeah, you've offsetted the market by your being overpaid.
You, Mercedes, Moxley, Jericho, you have peaked on what you could possibly make unless you get him to give you more money because no one else is ever going to give you that much money. And now, obviously you're not going to make a deal to go to WWE to take less money because that's not great for your career. So now you either have to humble yourself and take less money to go back there, or you are in AEW until you are done or AEW is done. Period. End. That's the problem. Tony Khan has actually done you a disservice by paying you all this money because the gravy train will run out eventually. I don't know. And it offsets the entire market. And now WWE is trying to pay people their market value based on what they can generate for the company. And this billionaire's son idiot is going around and he's upsetting the entire pay structure of wrestling.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you really think they're that upset about it, though? Like, I'm sure they're sitting down going, take this little idiot for every dime he's going to give you and call us Call us when you're ready to be a star.
Okay, you mean WWE? Yeah. No, they're not upset at all because they're saying, you know, I'm sorry. I think Swerve is very talented, and I think he would have done great in WWE. WWE is not missing Swerve. Okay.
No.
WWE would be no better right now if Swerve was still there than they are right now without him. And if LA Knight left, there'd be another LA Knight. If AJ left, there's another AJ. Finley, they have these things. They have people right behind these guys ready to come up in a locomotive form, and it's not changing anytime soon. So would they like to keep a talent like Swerve? Sure, but they're not going to overpay for him because he's not worth. Nobody on that roster is worth that kind of money except for a handful of guys. And that's
you don't think a WWE has got a department that's already looking at WrestleNomics ratings charts and being like, yeah, no, he's not working, or they're probably looking at this as ratings charts and be like, nah, he's definitely not working.
You think you think there's another reason besides ratings that what's her name with the big butt that just came back in NXT is still on the roster? Who's gotten? I mean, she's
Jada
gotten.
Parkett?
No, the one.
No, Nikita Lyons.
Nikita Lyons. Right.
She's not very good. She's got injured twice since she's been in NXT. What other reason is for her? What other reason to keep putting money into her except she draws a rating? And that's
right. Because HB Cookout likes big butts, apparently.
Yeah.
If I'm not your concern, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about my pockets and our money. We good. Like you have your talent, and you made your decision with me 2 years ago.
Yes, they did.
No hard feelings from me. Boom.
I
keep moving.
I can
be sure.
Actually, I can give you a little insight on what happened actually.
Oh, please do.
Because of Vince was the one who let them all go against everybody else's wishes because they refused to get vaxxed, and Vince had a weird thing about it, which is bizarre given what we all know about Vince. But
wow, you would think that Vince wouldn't want any. Yeah.
But Vince had a rage on for making people get it, and they stood their ground and refused, and he let them go. And
publicly traded company, gentlemen. That's the long and short of that one.
It came down to it. And then by the time Triple H was able to go get Swerve had already signed.
And that was probably the text that he was talking about, where he said they asked if I was available, and I had them say no, and that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah,
I imagine that's when that happened.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it happened. Because they didn't they wanted Hit Row, but they really wanted Swerve, and the plan was to bring them all back at the same time, and they tried to make it work, and it is what it is now.
I think there was a period there where they were also really high on. I think there was a period there where they're also really high on bringing back BFAB to kind of prove a point about the whole, But yeah, it was the Hit Row thing. You could tell from day one, never had any heat behind it. It was a joke.
No, that act was going absolutely nowhere. No. So I mean, to let go of Swerve was not a disastrous move. It obviously worked out for Swerve. He's now trying to be a hood G and
he's a millionaire.
Was it? And even then too, when you look at how they were booking them, it was never about Hit Row for Vince. It was about Swerve for Vince. Swerve was going to be the one who was going to get all the attention. Which is why they gave him, that crazy mini run on 205, and then they sent him back to NXT to have him beat everybody, and then we got what we got when they got drafted. But and again, I can if Vince never left and he never let him go, Swerve would be insanely popular right now because Swerve has all the things that Vince loves. Mm-hmm. Because we all know Vince wants to be and loves certain elements of the culture. But I don't know, bro. You trick this little dweeb into giving you all this money, and you're playing the part. At some point in time, that you're going to want to go be a star when you realize that you can't get any further.
Right. To Swerve's credit, if he had stayed in WWE and gone along, or not, if he had gone back to WWE when they wanted to bring Hit Row back and gone along that trajectory, he is a much bigger star right now than he would be in WWE. He would not be on Charlemagne the God's radio show if he was in WWE right now, because he'd be a tag team wrestler, or he'd be a mid-card title holder. Like he's not getting this kind of push, and he's not getting the kind of exposure for Swerve. This is probably where he wants to be right now, especially, although I mean, I was about to say I don't know how long he signed his contract for, but at the same time, he's supposed to be making, like $6 million a year. So if that's his contract, then whatever. Like, more power to him. I'm sure Swerve is going to be just fine, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When these doors close, when the doors close up on the AEW, I better not hear any crying about they won't send me back to WWE. I've tried and I've tried. Nah, bro, you've got millions of dollars, and so now, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, Swerve is being paid way above market value. Mercedes is being paid way above market value. Moxley is, Jericho is, MJF is. They're not generating the money that he's paying them. It's just not happening.
Nope.
I
say it all the time.
They're making a return on Cody. They're making a return on Kevin Owens. They're making a return on Randy. They're making a return on Roman, and they make bank.
And by the way, I read something this week that there are people who believe that Chris Jericho is still the highest paid wrestler in AEW right now.
I would believe he probably has a favored nations clause.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, so that it's funny because we all kept saying that, and everyone was like, "Oh no, there's no." It looks like there's obviously favors, and he gets to do whatever he wants. His segments are so awful on that show.
Terrible. Yeah. Look, just because you are a performer does not mean you're a writer or a creative. I'm sorry, it doesn't. And people think that
I have no respect for wrestlers.
Go ahead.
No, I just have no respect for wrestlers who phone it in like Chris Jericho does. That's all.
I don't think he's phoning it in. I think he's trying his damnedest with his ideas that he thinks are gold.
I bet you he goes home a Thursday morning and just laughs and laughs and laughs with his wife. Like, look at how I screwed him this week. How about that?
I'm kind of with awful on this. Actually,
yeah.
Although I did kind of stop becoming a Jericho fan towards the end of his WWE run, where he kept trying to work. Like it was he had a weird work shoot thing there for a while where he was like trying to be like
too meta,
like almost like an Andy Kaufman type thing, and he just couldn't pull it off. And then I did like his Japanese run. I do think that he is playing them. He doesn't look like he has any passion. And say what you want about Chris Jericho, but he always was passionate, no matter what he was doing.
Well, he was also a lot younger.
It's true. But he's
old and tired and beaten down and drunk.
Because he can afford to be.
He could have afforded to have been 10 years ago.
So this Swerve situation ignited all of this. Bad Blood will be the third straight WWE PLE without a single black male talent on it, but y'all mad at what Swerve said. It has been 791 days since a black man has won a 1v1 pay-per-view singles match on the WWE main roster, a show that was booked by Vince McMahon. That means Triple H has never booked a black man to win a pay-per-view singles match on the main roster. So keep pretending like Swerve didn't have a point. Everyone else sees right through this BS. The Rock is a black man. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's inconvenient for your argument. The Rock is a black man. He is. I'm
trying to think. Well, the thing is that main event is such a. I mean, Cody solved racism, so what? I don't see what that.
What exactly? Why are we even having this conversation?
Yeah, he's Cuban and he solved racism. But you got Damian Priest, you got those guys. On top of that, the main event scene is so small in WWE. But you look at the guys on the outside. Street Profits are feuding with the Bloodline right now. Like, are we just that's Carmelo Hayes has the hottest program on SmackDown.
Let's talk about the fact that the main focus of the biggest brand in WWE for the last 3-4 years has been the Bloodline, who I know they're not black, but they are not white. They are people of color, if that's the terminology that you want to use.
Right.
I know. The Rock presents himself as Samoan. The Rock is black, though.
The Rock is
just as black as he is Samoan.
And he presents himself as black a lot too. So don't.
Yeah, because he's in Hollywood, and that's convenient for him.
Yeah, it's he is whatever he needs to be in whatever situation he is in, and in wrestling right now he needs to be Samoan. But it's ridiculous because they're doing a great Trick Williams right now is one of the hottest acts in wrestling, and that's coming out of NXT. To completely ignore NXT is crazy. To ignore what Triple H did with black talent in NXT when he was there is crazy, because he was pushing guys like Keith Lee and Velveteen Dream and these guys long before Shawn Michaels got there.
2 winners.
And I'm sorry. Do you think Shawn Michaels is booking the way he's booking in NXT with the talent that he's pushing if Triple H is not like, yeah, that guy?
Trick, by the way, Trick was on a PLE. He was on a PLE a couple weeks ago for Backlash, or not Backlash, but he does the NXT has PLEs, so Trick is on PLEs. Just because
they're saying main roster PLE.
Oh, whatever.
You have to keep adding filters to this argument.
But Athena counts. Athena counts. Athena counts, guys. Trick doesn't count. Athena counts.
Well,
okay.
That's why I was like, well, hold on a second. So, how long has Swerve been actually used on TV? Well, like the length of his title reign. So like 5 months, right? Because Swerve got there and they didn't do much with him, and then all of a sudden they started doing something with him. So how long has AEW been on TV? For like 5 years, almost 6.
The first 4 years of their existence, 2 black men had even got title shots, and one of them was from TNA. Okay,
wait, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but the ladder match for the tag team titles, didn't Truth win that at WrestleMania?
Yeah, and he just returned on
so
Monday.
There you go.
A big part of the storylines. Yeah.
Well, I know on the major pay-per-view, Truth won a match.
True.
So again, this argument is ridiculous.
Well, and they forgot Lashley and the Profits won too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't talk.
Whatever.
Lashley.
This whole conversation, not the one that we're having, but this conversation of inculcating race into professional wrestling is so dry. It's so niche of a niche of a niche, and there's nothing that can be mined out of it.
I'm convinced.
I've been saying it since we started this channel, and long before that. They are coming for wrestling now. The people that have these DEI rules in Hollywood that says your cast must be X amount, women, X amount people of color. Like, instead of a merit-based system that you must have X amount of people in X amount of race, X amount of orientation, X amount of gender, that is happening in wrestling. And it has been a slow burn, and AEW has kind of become the entry point for these people because it makes them hard. It's all white. It's all like old white women that want to do it.
I have a grosser theory, and it's that this is setting up for the race wars storyline in AEW. They're trying to turn Swerve into a civil rights leader so that he can join up with Bobby Lashley and those guys to go against the white Profits or whatever they're being called over the new Blackpool Combat Club. And that
White
they're
Pool
using
their, I saw Alfred call it White Pool Combat Club,
and they're using their media to spread stories about their wrestlers to say that this is happening, and that it's all because they're gonna do this and they want an excuse to do it, and this is gonna give them the excuse to do it.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it plays out.
So here's the thing: which black talent in WWE right now is poised in a position to unseat Cody or Gunther? Nobody. And that's the thing in wrestling. You have to go with where the money is. You have to go with where people are cheering. You have a direct pipeline to the people in wrestling that you don't have on TV. People don't audibly cheer when Ray Palpatine walks into a room that you can gauge and then judge merch sales and whatnot.
There has been some bizarre mismanagement of some talents.
Yes, of course.
But that's something that's always been the other thing I say too is like listen, you could make this argument for giant swaths of wrestling history, right? Everybody loved to pick on Vince, and I would always go, well, but Vince always wanted Tony Atlas, not Hulk Hogan. Tony wasn't reliable. Vince wanted the mainstream black champion first. He kind of foresaw the impact that a Michael Jordan would have made before there was a Michael Jordan, and he wanted it for wrestling.
That was why
I bet you Vince saw the impact that the Junkyard Dog had on Mid-South.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
and wanted to bring that to a global to a national stage.
That's it. And when you look at who Vince's favorite wrestlers were, they were generally black. Which is why I laugh. Keith Lee made the biggest mistake of his life by boo-boo facing by
Bearcat.
when he refused to be called Bearcat. It's the boss's favorite wrestler, a man who was an actual historical trailblazer, and you wanted to boo-boo face. But I digress. If you cannot sit here and and expect to be taken seriously, if you cannot acknowledge that, and whether it was because of what was happening in the world or not, 2020 to like what 2023, like at the beginning of 2023, was essentially a black wrestler renaissance.
Yeah,
and the Hurt Business dominated. Bobby Lashley had an incredible run. Bianca, what NXT became. Things kind of, there is an ebb and flow to this, and it's not, again, I'm sorry, like AEW, the Dynamite looked like a damn blizzard. With the exception of, one of our two black guys is going to be on TV this week to job to one of the Young Bucks and Kenny. Let's see who it is. Scorpio Sky. It was like, stop it. And listen, we can sit down. I get it. Athena's going to be the longest reigning champion in the history of ever. No one cares. She's a women's champion on a show that no one watches, that no one wants to watch, that no one cared about before it died its horrible zombified death. Let's stop it. Just stop it. This topic is dead. No one cares. It's repellent because these people who are bringing it up cannot be taken seriously.
And you talked about there was gross misuse of talent in the past, and that's very true. But you look at a team like the Street Profits, who had great momentum going into their program with Bobby Lashley, who then Bobby Lashley got boo-boo face because he couldn't get a good heel run going. He turned down a feud. He got injured. And also, I'm pretty sure he was trying to turn that into a race thing in the first place because he kept calling it the Pride, despite the fact that WWE was obviously not pushing it as the Pride. So he wanted to get into somewhere controversial that they didn't want to do, and they weren't willing to push it. And that brought the Street Profits down with them. And that's why they're still trying to heal up. The whole thing is ridiculous. There's nobody who's, if you're pushing anyone based on anything other than the amount of money that they can or do draw for you, then you're paying them for the wrong reasons. It's a business. Okay.
You're right. You're 100% right. So yeah, the argument is stupid. Look, at the end of the day, it is a slippery slope if we start getting to the point where internally the WWE has got to say, we got to make sure we have X amount of black people on this pay-per-view. Otherwise, the internet's going to get mad at us. So if we get to the point where wrestling is being booked by DEI checkboxes, then that's where wrestling ends.
They're going to try, but it's going to fail. It's not going to.
If you can't fit Braun Breaker on a pay-per-view because he's not the right color, despite the fact that he's monstrously over, that's going to be a problem. And you might say I'm being sensationalist about this. I'm not. We see it in video games. We see it in we see Assassin's Creed Shadows had a according to Endymion and his sources had a Japanese male protagonist until the Summer of Love, and then they decided they had to make it a black guy in feudal Japan. These are the things that are going to happen in wrestling if DEI is brought in there. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% right. But listen, this is also a big part of why AEW continues to fail. They chose to embrace these people. They choose to cater to these people. There's a difference. This is why the UFC will always be strong, why WWE will always be strong. It is a meritocracy. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable or inconvenient purporting the meritocracy is. If you are over, if you make money, you're going to get the attention. AEW caters to the whims of people who cannot be satisfied. They will always find something wrong. And the only reason that Tony did get eaten alive, and he kind of did a little bit, everybody forgets the Big Swole controversy. There was a little bit of heat there, and I think it happened again one more time, but I don't remember who it was for. And then they conveniently ignored what's his name, Jordan Grace's husband. They conveniently ignored him. But it's only going to be a matter of time before AEW is going to suffer the consequences for catering to these people. That audience will never grow. It is only going to continue to shrink. They will continue to not be taken seriously at their own peril. So they invited this for themselves.
I think it's right now.
It's an activist promotion. If you guys remember, for years they were allowing people in with rainbow colored flags and all sorts of pink and blue flags to come into their show, and the wrestlers would take those signs and they'd flash them in front of the camera. That's not good PR, if you ask me personally. But
I don't think there's a problem with what the fans bring to the ring.
No. Hold, stop right there. There's where a problem where the wrestlers magnify that stuff on camera, on national television, when it's a hot button issue.
You don't need. Here's the thing. You're wrestling. You don't ever have to touch that side of the world, right? You don't ever have to touch politics. The problem with politics is whatever you do from a political standpoint alienates half the country.
Look, learn the lesson from Michael Jordan, right? I will never come out for one party. I'll never endorse a Democrat because Republicans buy shoes too. If you want to leave half of all the available money on the table, go ahead and take a stand.
Kev, you said that you wonder how long it's going to be before it turns on them, and I think we're actively watching it happen, because what's happening in the ring right now with the Jon Moxley stuff, you have people either completely ignoring it or people getting behind it live. They're cheering it on, because when you attract any kind of extremism, you attract all the extremism. So you're going to get a good portion of that crowd that, if they do go that race route, are going to cheer the white guys. Look at what happened when they did the quarters angle. They got a pop. And there are people in that crowd that will make those jokes and that want that stuff, because they are just as extreme as the other side. And that's what Tony wants, are the sickos, are the weirdos. And that's what you get. You get a crowd that claims to be mature, but is actually not mature enough to handle something like this.
A lot of their crowd is literally on the left side of the arena. How about that? That's all I'll say about that.
I know. You know what though? I bet they have just as many far right people that like them too. I bet they do.
Absolutely.
The 4chan crowd.
Wrestling should never be divided over political lines. It is a story of.
It can be done cleverly, though. It can be done cleverly.
Listen, you can tell any story you want if you know how to tell the story.
Exactly.
Case in point, The Nation. But you also need to be mindful of the period in time you were in, right? Like we all love ECW. We all love the Attitude Era. Guess what? The mid to late 90s was a very special time, especially in American history. It was the equivalent of your angsty teen years. Now, after Janet Jackson's gnarled up nipple popped out on the Super Bowl, everything got clamped down, and you don't have that anymore. Fast forward a bunch of years later, all that stuff that we laughed at and liked cannot exist in this space, for better or for worse. You guys would all probably guess my feelings on it, but the fact of the matter is, we don't have certain kinds of comedy anymore, because you can't have comedy in this space. You're not going to get certain kinds of movies because you can't have certain kind of movies in this space. If AEW wants to try to do this, one, they don't have the actual storytelling talent to navigate these waters. It will blow up in their face. It is so obvious what they want to do. It's almost painful, and it's not going to work. First of all, listen, let's be real. What exactly is Cesaro and Jon Moxley supposed to do when Bobby Lashley shows up? When Black Jiren shows up on Dynamite TV? That is
Well, you
one of
bring
the
out a
largest
noose, of
beings
course.
on the planet. They can't even so much as take him by the pinky. So where does the story go from here? It's
And
and again, why would you tell this story anyway? There are certain stories that you can do whatever you want, but you shouldn't. Where is this supposed to go? What again, we broke Private Party 1's hand with a hammer, and they essentially I don't want to say the word, but they minced meated the Private Party number 2. I don't know their names. That's how insignificant they are, even though they've been there since day one. So what are we supposed to do with this? That's supposed to be, again, here's the difference. SmackDown can be 3 hours and make all the money on the planet because Soccer Mom is going to, wrestling's in town. I'm going to take my 3 kids and, hey, 2 of you who are old enough, do you guys want to bring some friends? And let's talk about, if you guys want to bring your friends, I'll see if their mom wants to go. Because it's not dad and kid, it's mom and kids. And mom's travel in groups. Is mom going to go watch Cody go fight the mean guy who wants to take his title? Or is she going to go watch an awful reenactment of a crappy movie no one saw almost 30 years ago?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. Dis, I know you have to head out.
Okay. I was gonna, just I have to go. I'm in a loft here, and Max needs to go to bed, so I can't keep him awake.
Yeah.
So, but
let people know where they can find you, or if you want to make another a final statement on this.
No, Kev is covering it brilliantly.
Yeah, I agree.
No, just check out Discord, tooney.dis.lol. Also, I got a Nolan Thunder video coming out. It's a channel called Road to Everywhere. I did that with him. And that's about it. I'll check you all out. We remind them we're doing Saturday. We should probably.
Oh yes, Bad Blood.
So,
we are going to be doing the Bad Blood live watch along on Saturday. So make sure you guys are there with us for that. We will be, bringing you all the action from Bad Blood. Very excited to do it. Very excited to watch the Hell in a Cell, especially. So
all right. Yep. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Peace.
Yeah. But yes, you're right. And look, and I hate any time politics gets injected into wrestling. I hated I didn't like the Zeb Coulter, We the People stuff in WWE when they did it, for example. Because here's the thing: when you make political angles, you have to cast somebody as the babyface and somebody as the heel. And when you cast, so let's say, when they had that one guy who was doing the woke gimmick in NXT that Vince thought was hysterical, you're casting half the country as the heel. And when you do it with Jake Hager and Dutch, you're casting the other half of the country as the heel. And that's the problem. Because it's not the evil, the evil Russian communists coming in or the evil Iranian Iron Sheik. It's, you're calling half the country evil, no matter what you do. So, but wrestling needs the ability to say, this guy is over right now. This guy's on the pay-per-view, because that's going to draw us money. We cannot get to a point. And look at Vince's reaction. Vince's reaction to The Rock saying he was the first champion of color. Vince is like, no, you're not. You're the world champion. Tony's reaction to Swerve being the first black AEW champion, he threw him a ticket tape parade. And then what happened through all of Swerve's title reign? Every mistake that Tony made up to the point where he lost the title is like, oh, look at the way they're treating their first black champion. There was none of that with The Rock because they never made a big deal of it. The Rock was just treated as a human being.
No, that was also during a time when we had learned and embraced the lessons of the dream, where we were treating people like they were human beings. But also, too, don't forget on top of Tony's ticket take parade for Swerve, he did it for the ref. He did it for who else? There was if you were black and remotely in the area, you got the accolades of being the first black person to be remotely in the area of Swerve's first title win.
Yeah, no, it's it was Swerve, it was Nana, and it was the referee. They were all the first black something or other in that match. It was the biggest night. It was the $1 Million Man March in the middle of that ring that night. If you were listening to Tony Khan, it was absolutely insane. So yeah, we need to calm down about how much TV time people get. How about we judge how much TV time and how much pay-per-view time people get based on their level of talent and their ability to draw money, and whether or not they are involved in a story that is beneficial to the show.
Heaven forbid.
I think Apollo Crews is great. I don't think he should be on a pay-per-view over Braun Breaker because he's black.
Right. And if there was really, I think I said this on episode 1. I mean, for all this talk about race and all that, I mean, what are these guys? These guys, if they want to be in bigger positions, they've got to do certain things. And I said it back then, and I'll say it now. You got to kick, scratch, and claw, and make yourself available for the opportunity to be a higher profile. Simple as that. Whether you're black, white, or candy striped.
And again, because of these weirdos who want to make something that does, it's embarrassing that we have to waste the amount of time we wasted tonight talking.
Boy.
I know. I hate that we had to have this conversation. I hate that we had to have this conversation, but it's unfortunately, it was a thing that needed to be done.
I want to talk about Jey Uso squeezing the word "yeet." Like it was the secret word at Pee Wee's Playhouse in that promo yesterday.
Oh, goodness. Well, unfortunately, we've only got less than 15 minutes left, and we still have to get some of our black talent on the screen with our New Jack promo of the week.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So once again, I have not watched this prior. These clips are all new to me. These are all coming from producer Neckbeard, who is a super fan of this era of wrestling, the Smoky Mountain wrestling, this gangster stuff. So, all right. So this is the end of a match, and I'm sure we're gonna have to pull this. We're probably gonna have to cut this segment out of the replay because we always do. Because for some reason, it always gets the axe
Join
by
the Patreon,
YouTube,
folks.
Yeah, I will be
gather
posting
around,
them on
kids.
Patreon. Yeah. I posted them all on Patreon for insiders, and no, I'm sorry, I'll be posting them on Patreon. I think for all levels, because it's cut content from that already aired. So
go to Bob Caudle with the Gangsters.
Bob Caudle with the Gangsters is still my favorite thing because he looks like he's afraid for his life.
Yeah, I'm sure he checked his wallet afterwards.
I love Bob Caudle, and Jim Ross loves Bob Caudle. He's shooting. He is shooting right now because he is legitimately angry.
Good question. I'd love to know.
That's
we need the uncensored version, Beard.
We really do.
To that little redneck, you understand? We snatched him out the truck and we beat him in the head.
Oh, you know what? Neckbeard actually told me what this was. Hold on. He mentioned it to me. He said it was going to be bleeped out. So he said... let me find it. It was okay. He says, for context, New Jack claims he and Mustafa took part in the beatings of Reginald Jenney during the 1992
He was the one who threw the brick.
Reginald was the white trucker who was snatched from his truck and took a cinder block to the head, and apparently it was at the hands of New Jack. So he's shooting on Martin Luther King now?
Yes, he is.
Safe. No one's safe.
Yeah, no one's safe.
Uh,
The N-bombs probably dropped like raindrops that night after this broadcast.
Yep.
And he said it just like that. Yep.
Can you guys like cosplay as them for one of our live streams?
I wear Mustafa's shirt every other week.
You do. So that's what just got me thinking about it.
At your mama's house.
All right, when we have our 10,000 subscriber celebration, you guys have to be the Gangsters.
Oh God, I'd like to see Beard and Dish do it.
Oh, that would be tremendous. That would be tremendous.
How about that?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Heard the counterpoint from the Rock and Roll Express. Like, what was their promo like?
We really have to play like the counter promos from the people that they're wrestling. Because the Rock and Roll Express are probably cutting the standard "Come On, Baby" like '80s babyface promo,
right.
and they're getting this guy.
Mustafa, you want to jump on us? Well, you ain't gonna beat out the army. Why don't you come get you some?
Because we'll fight you from Austin to Boston, from Maine to Spain.
Rock and roll forever.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't really respond.
New Jack Mustafa, we coming for you.
Oh no. Soft A's only. All right, John JID 999 for 199. Power to the 199 says, I just want somewhere to use the Lucha Brothers well. I agree. I want victims for $5. So when do you think one of the AEW girls picks a fight with Mercedes and drives around to AEW and back to WWE? I'm shocked it hasn't happened already.
You can't do that when you have your own locker room and you're inaccessible.
That's the thing. She's essentially in the Pope Mobile backstage. I mean, like she's constantly surrounded by bulletproof glass on all sides because I'm sure Tony understands what's going to happen and he's trying to keep her protected from it. John JD 999 says, "How is DJ Envy still employed there? He got busted."
He's talking about the host of the Breakfast Club. DJ Envy is a host on the show. John JID with the hip hop knowledge. Look at you. Here you go, boy.
Again for $9.99. He says, I watched SmackDown with my brother and he hadn't seen it in forever. Loved the Street Profits, especially Dawkins and the Bloodline. Just take one look at NXT and how any people of color are utilized. So
listen, no spoilers, but
dude, NXT looks like North Philly right now. I mean, my goodness.
Grand fashion this week. So, like, come on, stop it.
Yeah.
The future,
and like I said,
is very colorful in the WWE.
Like, do you really think that Triple H is like gonna like flip it on and see like the black people going over and be like, what? Yeah, like Sean's just going rogue. Like, no, him and Sean talk about who gets pushed in NXT. There's no way they don't.
Right.
Well, I think Triple H had to learn a hard lesson, right? He treated the original Black and Gold like it was his own thing, its own universe, and was like, I don't know why you can't get it right. And then, Vince shrank down to the size of a microscopic organism and put the game on the shelf for a couple of months.
Carotid artery.
It's like, and this is mine, and it's always going to be mine until it's not mine anymore. And we got what we got. Now there's synergy.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, because Tripp and Sean are of one mind. I mean, like, what Sean is the hand of the king, to put it in Game of Thrones terms. Colin Taylor for $10. If AEW does a race war angle, please let the pay-per-view be sponsored by Oreo. Oh, why? But no, what would be better is if it's a complete coincidence. Like Wingstop doing the Bianca and Jade match, and everyone was like, "Oh, what the hell?" And
what is this?
Yeah.
AEW All Out's been brought to you by Whiteout.
BT23 for $2. Hopefully not an AEW version of the Nation of Domination. I agree with you, man. Hopefully we don't ever see that from Swerve. Nobody needs that. All right, guys. It has been a fun-filled and exciting and eventful, like you say, Matthew just said the pizza cutter during the pizza advert. It's been a fun-filled, exciting night. Thank you guys so much to everybody who has been here in the chat and chatting along. Huge thanks to producer Neckbeards, the heart and soul of this show, the backbone of this show, the guy with whom we could not possibly do it. Just because you don't hear him on the show doesn't mean he is not an absolutely incredible part of this. I wanted to take a second to thank John JID 999 for also being one of our mods out there in the chat and helping to keep the chat moving tonight. Thank you very much, John. And of course, my friends, thank you guys very much. Awful, what do you got going on this week?
I'm waiting with bated breath for tomorrow. Will I be talking shit or will I have to eat shit? So we'll find out.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. I really do.
I know you do. I know you do.
It's gotta. Like he can't.
It's just gotta, doesn't it?
I
mean, every evidence that points points to it not happening, we're just going to ignore and just go by what these fucking waterhead pundits say.
Well, you know what? We'll talk about it next week, or maybe we'll have to touch on it on Saturday before Bad Blood. So
it's gonna happen. It's just more content for the book. We have not seen how bad it gets yet.
Awful. you have to stop rooting against AEW, because when the gravy train dries up, what are we gonna do?
Well, you'll talk about
This guy going out there and showing his ass every week. It's all bread and butter. Come on, man.
We didn't have the technology when Billy Kidman was shoving Viagra pills down Shane Douglas's throat. This is our time.
This is it.
We were made for this.
Well,
he just has to keep going.
We're still on the 10-yard line.
I signed the petition to bring back the Acolyte.
What do you guys really do think? Do you guys really think the announcement's tomorrow?
No, I do. If Meltzer's saying it's imminent, and then he's like, I might have something to announce. If he goes out there and announces like, something ridiculous, like a new reality show or something like that, then he's never going to hear the end of it.
It's been imminent for like 5 months.
I know.
A year.
All right, guys. Kev, what do you got going on?
I don't know.
Really.
I'll be with you this week.
Yeah, we'll be back together. We're going to talk about the Vince documentary a little bit more from a different perspective on Tooney Talk TV, I believe, this Thursday night at 8 p.m. We'll also be talking. Oh, Kev, we got more Bo DeMeo news to talk about this week.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
It's mine too.
This is like if Mercy. It is like it's diametrically opposed opposites. If Mercedes shatters every facet of my soul, Bo DeMeo lunacy warms my heart. It turns it to Care Bear-esque levels of sheer joy.
He went on a ridiculous tirade this week. So we're going to talk about that Thursday night, 8 p.m. For Tooney Talk TV. We're going to have Trish with us. Hopefully we'll have Nolan and Martin and hopefully Lorne and Spencer. The whole gang will be together, and we'll be talking all about all of the pop culture goings on of the week. So that is going to be over at Tooney Town TV, which if you're not subscribed there, guys, get subscribing, because we have 2 videos a day going on over there right now, which means I have to produce a video for that site when we're done here tonight to go up tomorrow morning, and Tooney Talk TV Thursday nights 8 p.m. And of course, guys, Saturday night we will be here for Bad Blood, for Hell in a Cell. Come watch with us, eat some bad food, comment on wrestling, make some jokes, be a part of the show with us. We invite all of you guys to come join us this Saturday. You'll be watching the show anyway. Why not watch it with some of your friends here on Tooney Town Wrestling? All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us again this and every week. From all of us here at the Tooney Town channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get on! Now, Betty the Platypus, feel the wrath of my thank you-inator!
Thank you, you piece of trash.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you! Oh, I suppose you want me to say thank you. Well, you know what? Saying thank you is like jobbing.
Thank you! I got a little message. Thank you. Ooh, yeah!
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
Thanks? For what?
Hi-ho from all of us here at Tooney Town. Thank you!
And viewers like you. Thank you.